Hey everyone, welcome back to the home studio. This is Stevie Richards, and welcome to episode 91 of the Stevie Richards Show, where we do take 4 or 5. On the fitness channel, we got up to 70 takes to try to get my own name right. Somebody that also has this problem from time to time on his videos is my co-host, James Romero.
No, not on my videos. I just say hello, James here, although I have screwed that up as well. Just got hello, and then I just forget like what I have forgot my own name. I've said this before, but I have screwed up my own name several times in a row when 4 people were in a studio staring at me. I was like, and they must sort of thought I was the biggest idiot on planet Earth, that I couldn't say my own name 4 times in a row, to the point that I had to like over enunciate it so it seemed like properly simple. So I think my name is James You know what I mean? Oh, it's terrible.
There was one time where I just said I was supposed to say Stevie Richards on the fitness channel. And I just said Michael Manna 3 times in a row. And I said, yeah, it must have been a sign like to start a channel under that name. But the opening is the hardest part, isn't it? When you're doing any video, when I do, hey, everyone, welcome to the home studio, that's almost a mouthful right there. That's the part I can't get past. Then the next one is I got to go into some imaginary fantasy world where I become Stevie Richards, because now I told my wife I'm actually back to being like, I can't escape and be another character. Because essentially right now you're looking and talking with Michael Manna under the Stevie Richards branded name. But I found out why I became a professional wrestler, which could be a question here. It's because I was so terrified and shy of any public stuff, being in front of a camera. And I found out now that I can't like be a phony character, I'm actually being myself. It actually sucks. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I sweat. Why? I'm nervous. I'm already sweating.
Well, not surprised, because that was take 6. Or what? No, it was take 4, I think, that intro.
What a good day.
I do it all the time as well. But, you know, I actually find that I stop like a minute and a half in a lot of the time when I'm doing solo videos. Because I kind of realize that if I just like stutter a little bit, and I'll think, if I'm 4 minutes in, I can let that go. But if I'm 1.5 minutes in, I just say, right, I'm done. I'm going to start again from the beginning. But generally speaking, I get things out quite well now. But then I've got a lot of, script to work with as well at that point. So I'm not vamping as much as I appear to be.
Well, it's amazing. You make I've tried to make this more cinematic at the letting down and everything, but your natural, organic, just conversational, even though you have a script, it does play into a lot more, people enjoy that. People like the reactions to certain things. I will say this too. It's so weird because I told you, we've covered it on multiple episodes. Decades into having this particular voice with this vocal cord implant, still when I talk, there's 2 things that happen. For some reason, even with this microphone right here, I feel like I need to shout to the camera mic. Do you ever feel that way? And then there's other times where I'm like, this just doesn't sound like me. And I just get so weird. Maybe from the Gail Kim ear slaps too. That might have something to do with it.
Yeah, I find that I'm never going to take the boyish timbre out of my voice. And I'm always trying to. And then just one point really...
Well, I got a solution for that. Guardrail.
Oh, yeah. If only Terry Funk was here to break my neck.
Well, Dory's still alive. He lives in town. I can go talk to him right now.
Oh, dude, he can set me on fire. I mean, he did that to the other guy in Japan recently, didn't he?
He wrestled at 81. I didn't know there was fire involved.
Yes, it was a death match.
I say wrestled in relative terms, but still, Dory, I'm sure he could still pin me with a headlock at 81.
We need to rewatch that, because I've said in a future episode we've got to do November to Remember 95, because I love that show. But I was looking through some old files of like ideas for future shows, and there are so many. But I'm going to say it on air right now. You need to go buy some figures of you. Then we can do the figure episode. I've got all the questions ready to go, man.
It's a good segue, because I'm starting to figure out I have stuff to clear out, and obviously I'm going to donate most of all that money to the cat rescue I talk about in Ohio many times. And I have those epic toys, action figures. I think Chris got one of those. And I have a ton of big Stevie Cole trading cards that I need to. He's going somewhere for something here. And I need to start selling those and clearing stuff out because I need to make room for all my flights and equipment. I got my priorities. They're where they should be.
Dude, I know for a fact that deep down you just want the hollow deck or whatever it's called in Star Trek.
We talked about this.
I know.
I'll give you a fun fact before, in answer to a question. We have a couple Star Trek questions. Let's save it because I had something, and this proves that I was not married at the time. I had a project I was seriously working on, and my entire house was going to be converted into the Enterprise.
Were you just kind of resigning yourself to singledom at that point?
Well, up until I met my wife. Actually, if anybody wants to meet their soulmate, all you have to do is say, I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life, and that's it. And literally, like 2 days later, I started talking to her.
Someone will turn up and ruin it. All
no,
that
she
wonderful
didn't ruin
solitude
anything.
you could have had.
No, it's not that. No, she's the best thing that ever happened to me. Yeah. I don't know where I'd be. Probably not here doing the show with you.
As I sort out my blinds, because I'm getting bleached out more and more for every passing second, will you do the intro? So we've got to do Patreon fitness and whatnot. You know
Absolutely.
how to do it. Go on.
Absolutely. Let's start with the most popular YouTube channel out there right now, the James Romero channel, the Solo channel, which I just discovered a video where a wrestler got stabbed by a fan. We're going to talk about that, but James was first to break that. That's where I get all my news is from the James Romero channel. As far as I'm concerned, we have the Stevie Richards Show here. Please subscribe. Click the bell to get notified. Also, patreon.com/Stevie Richards. We talked about a tribute to Dennis Condrey, who recently passed away. Rest in peace to him. We're going to do multiple ones. This week was the Midnight Express versus the Road Warriors with one of the hottest NWA crowds, and that's saying something in there. Also, a UFC rabbit punch by Baby Doll to the back of Jim Cornette's head. She hammer fisted him right to the medulla oblongata, as Girl Monsoon. And I don't know why I added an O instead of an A with my Philly accent.
It's because you're Italian.
I'm Italian. It's right there. FBI. They never asked me to join. Tracy Smothers got an invite. JT Smith got an invite before the guy who lived 10 minutes from the arena. But that's for another show at another time. Take a drink. And then we have Stevie Richards Fitness, which, that's there. So let's get started with the show.
We're doing fan questions, everybody. And we've decided to up the fan questions to like once every 3 weeks. We get so many that it makes no sense for us to like leave it once a month or once every 6 weeks. So we're going to do it once every 3 weeks. And to be honest, the way things are happening, we may end up doing them even more frequently. I don't know. But it's going to be fan questions. If you want your your question answered for a future episode, we've got so many questions here that we're not going to request anymore for a while. But make sure you subscribe to the Stevie Richards Show YouTube channel, and then at some point we will do a post there requesting more questions. That'll probably be, in fact, I'll say this, we may ask for a WrestleMania themed one, because WrestleMania is coming up, of course, and I actually found a question. Sorry, someone actually wrote in a question for this that I've saved for that episode. And it was, could you tell us about the WrestleMania after parties? But don't answer now. That's for a teaser for a future fan question episode. But I picked, I don't know, some 10 questions or so. Not all of them wrestling either. A couple of them non-wrestling. A couple of them fun stuff for Stevie as well. And here we go. Let's get straight into it. Senor Fish has asked, what's your go-to at Wawa? And there's a reason that I'm asking this, as you know.
Yeah, there seems to be a Wawa theme with this. And for people that don't know what Wawa is, because Florida kind of discovered this in recent years, I don't know when, but it's originally a Philadelphia, New Jersey type of thing. And to explain to people, if you live in Pittsburgh, it would be Sheetz and other ones. But basically, it's a gas station. It's an upgraded convenience store. Have you ever eaten at one or stopped at a Wawa when you're here in the States?
No, I've never even heard of Wawa.
But they have really good, like, upgraded food and sandwiches, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's quick, and it's actually pretty affordable in 2026 compared to other places.
I've got a question for you. Do you have Too Good To Go? or anything similar to that, where you get like a thing with like local restaurants where they're going to like throw food out because it expires that night or the next day and they can't sell it. So you're on this app and essentially you'll get a ping if somewhere near you has got a too good to go bag to go, and you book it and you turn up and you get like £10 worth of food for £1.
Oh God, I would definitely do that. I don't think we have anything like that, but that would be amazing. That used to be, just off topic, but on topic, Chipotle. They don't do it anymore, but if you went there at the end of the night, they would, because the food's going to get thrown out anyway because they make it fresh, they will give you extra everything. So it used to be a little bit of a life hack for starving wrestlers in that generation. But back in the day, I used to go to Wendy's with the freezer bag and get a few meals out of the buffet or the Pizza Hut buffet. But Wawa, my go-to sandwich would probably be, we just had a panini, breakfast panini with egg white and all that stuff. I don't like eating bread outside of what my wife makes at home, but they have really good subs. We call them hoagies in Philadelphia instead of subs. But really, you can't go wrong with anything at Wawa, especially sandwich-wise. They have good mac and cheese, just good. They even have the low-carb bowls and stuff like that. It's a really underrated place to eat. And now they have like a $6 meal deal where you can get a sandwich, a soda, and a bag of chips for $6, which is a better deal than Subway or other places like that. And the reason you ask is because recently I was in
LJC _83 says, "Hey Stevie, just wanted to say it was a pleasure to meet you today at Wawa. Hopefully you remember." 2 separate questions came in from 2 separate people about Wawa. And this is one, so apparently someone met you and
yeah, something's going on in the universe, and Wawa, maybe we can get a sponsorship. We talked about adding them to the show, brief ads and segments and little skits that we can attach to it. This person's name, if I'm not mistaken, if I am, I'm sorry, Lewis. I remember meeting him. My wife and I went to the Kennedy Space Center to see the Artemis 2. It didn't launch, and it hasn't launched yet at the time of this recording, but we got like 2 day passes that can be used throughout the year. And next time I might actually do the astronaut training experience and film it for Patreon. I'm looking to do that. So
would you do the vomit comet? You know what I mean? Where the
zero gravity? I don't know. Yeah. That's probably a part of it. They actually have a simulator, but it's not as, how can I say, listen, a bad neck, bad back, herniated disc touching a nerve, post-concussion syndrome, afraid of getting vertigo. We might not, but I'd still do it. I always wanted to be an astronaut. So actually at Epcot, we have Mission Earth, I think, and Mission Mars. Mission Earth is not as much. Mission Mars is the real deal with that. But we went to Kennedy Space Center. We took the bus tour. And by the way, as we were going to the Artemis, I think it's 39B where it's at, they were moving this huge, like it looked like a mini airplane hangar, like a little pre-built structure. And our tour bus driver, he was the most grizzled tour bus driver you'll ever meet, because it was like Blackjack Lanza. He was like driving, he goes, now obviously it's a working area. They're going that way, so we're not going towards that. My wife's like, what? We want to go see the rocket, like close up. He's like, nah, we're going to go this way. It was the most grizzled tour we ever had, and we ended up, we saw the bald eagles on the
Cody's. That should be Cody's bus tour in Las Vegas. That's why it's like, that's why it said 1 or 2. That's why it should be like 1 or 2 landmarked, like it said. We'll do 1. Well,
I have to say, soon. Ken is probably driving the tour bus for Cody. Yeah, 1 or 2, whatever Ken feels like. It was cool, and it was a good time. But that's where we met Lewis. We got breakfast at the Wawa right outside Kennedy Space Center, and we met him. And he was like by the chip thing, I think, and we were at the thing like with the touch screen ordering our meals. And he just like, and it was so awesome. You know why? Just like Maven, most people, and we share these stories all the time, most people don't say, I remember you from Tough Enough with Maven, or with me. I remember the BWO, Dr. Stevie, The Right to Censor. They say now, oh, you're the guy from YouTube. I watch your show all the time. We get more of that, which is really, it's kind of like with DDP. More people recognize him from the yoga than wrestling, which is actually any post-wrestling career for a wrestler, that's our dream, to kind of transcend the wrestling career.
Following on from that, BR Smith says or asks, how often do you get recognized in public? Can you share any interactions recently that stick out, either good, bad, or weird? Just before you ask that, I've got a follow-up question. Do you get the sixth sense that people recognize you? Can you see people, extra glances or whatnot? Or are you always wondering if like the next person is going to come up to you?
Well, it's more the Philly in me. The person in Philly is also like always, even though I've calmed down quite a bit, I always have my head on a swivel, like I'm on the subway or the L. But with this, and you know my attitude. I don't assume that I'm any kind of celebrity. I don't assume people will know who I am. But if it gets to a point, if someone's staring at me, I don't think they're staring at me because they think I'm good looking. I'm thinking they're staring at me either like, why does that guy in his 50s have a ponytail? Why don't he just give it up and get a job? Or they might recognize me from wrestling. And usually they will approach me. And more times than not, it's like, we're going to talk about Cena. 99 times out of 100, if not almost 100, people come up, they're very respectful. I'll tell you what happens a lot, and these are emails as well as people in person. It will be a person, either a mom and a dad with a kid or a dad with the kid, and they come up to me and say, we always watch your show as a family. I love the fact that you guys don't swear and you guys have a good time and it's laid back. Or people say, I fall asleep to your stuff because it's very relaxing. These are the things I get. As far as bad or weird interactions, that's where the conventions come in, and we've covered that on a past episode or a past segment. That's where you get the people that either come up to you. I've had people come up to me and said, hey, I remember when Chris Masters broke your face. That was really funny. Can I give you a polish hammer right now? Or some weird stuff like that. Or I think I could beat you up. And sometimes they'll be waiting outside and then they'll run away and they'll say, yeah, you better run away. It's like, dude, you're running away. What are you doing? Those are the people that want to get a reaction, and possibly if they do something or try to provoke you, we're obviously talking about a lawsuit, especially if they think you have money. The weird interactions are usually just that thing where they're too scared to approach you, but they're hiding behind the pillar. And usually I'll walk up and grab them from the pillar and say, you don't have to be scared. Be scared of those dudes over there. You don't have to be scared of me.
There's, I'll give you an example of someone who handled something really, really well. Right, so my uncle was in London to watch the sumo wrestling last year, and he spotted someone. He's called Mark Gatiss, or Gators, I can't remember how you pronounce it. You won't know who he is, but he's famous for the League of Gentlemen, ton of other stuff over here anyway. Does tons of sci-fi, like from the Quatermass Experiment.
Is that the movie with Sean Connery, or is it a different version? League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
No. Oh God, no. No. The League of Gentlemen is entirely different from the Extraordinary League of Gentlemen. If you saw the League of Gentlemen, you bust out laughing and you wonder how it was ever made. It's terrifyingly grotesque, almost sketch comedy. It's bizarre. Anyway, my uncle saw Mark from over the road and he was kind of squinting at him, and he took quite a way away, took one or two steps, and I guess this dude had the celebrity guy had seen my uncle walking towards him, and the first thing Mark did was walk towards my uncle, and just extended his hand and said, oh, hello, would you like a photo? And my uncle went, sure, that'd be fantastic. Got a photo and then left, which I'm not even sure he was after that. He just was kind of staring at it, but I guess he was filming out there and kind of wanted to get rid of him. Yeah. And not that my uncle was intruding at all, but I thought it was a really good way of, basically you've got a little memory and you've been cleared off in 20 seconds flat.
Yeah, that's a good way to disarm and diffuse the situation. And that convention thing that I explained, usually I'll go up and introduce myself to somebody that looks like they're very timid or scared or nervous or whatever way I try to diffuse that. There have been people that I've met and they've ended up going to walk away, and I say, hey, is it okay if we get a picture together? I asked them and they're like, oh, I didn't know, I thought you might get mad or whatever. I go, why would I get mad? I go, before we got into the business, this is what we were hoping for, autographs. And people see, there's a lot of workers, athletes, and entertainers that lose sight of would you want everybody to really ignore you all the time? Do you really want that? Even me, who is like, I'm I have a lot of social anxiety in public places and everything. I'm very much an introvert, not in the cool way like people say they are. I really am. And you know from our conversations about certain bookings. But at the same time, I do want, it's my job, in a way, my responsibility to hopefully make a fan or somebody that might be in a nervous situation to disarm them. That's where, in a weird psychological way, I can stop being Michael Mann and then go into the character Stevie Richards, have a little bit of confidence, and make third day a little bit less stressful. And also, if they weren't planning to kind of be a jerk to you and you walk up and diffuse it and you're courteous to them, it usually does smooth things out.
So this leads us on to this question. Clayton Jones, based on what you've been you personally seen in the rumor stories you've heard or been told, do you believe John Cena is a good dude? Now, I'm kind of lead off into this where there seems to be a lot of people trying to get a rise out of John Cena, or, you know, he's in an airport or he's in a cafe on his own. And like, I sent you the video that went viral a few days ago. In fact, just tell us about it. The guy starts launching in with a song.
I mean, you're kind of there. You're asking a question if John Cena's a good dude. He's never been anything other than that to me, although people I do know have had a different experience with him. And I will say this, just an overarching theme. The wrestling business can make people very, very terrible. The wrestling business can poison a lot of people. The weaponized hope, the thing that you're reaching for the brass ring, the thing that they've promoted in all wrestling companies, ruthless aggression, cutthroat, stab backs, all these different things that they preach to everybody. And then when you push back and you say, well, I just want to kind of rise on my own talent and be respectful to everybody. Oh no, you'll go home for a long time if you counter that. So John has pretty much just made his career on being, there's still the John Cena. This is where it's very confusing. You can say that John Cena, the political cutthroat, ruthless guy that will tell somebody like, who was it? Alex Riley or even Gabby Tough, tell them they're going to break your fingers, I'll break your hand, I'll do these things if you ever do that move again, if you ever do this or that, in a very threatening way in public, or I'm going to get you fired. I've never seen that John Cena. Then you have the John Cena with the Cricket 5G charity thing, and the John Cena with the more Make-A-Wish fulfillments than anybody in or out of wrestling. It's a very dude, you can do a documentary on who's the real John Cena, right? It's very, very confusing. But they can all exist at the same time with whatever environment that John's in.
Did you ever see that like viral clip from years ago where John Cena was on like Total Divas or something, and he sat there laying out like 1,000 different rules? Yeah. Like, I don't know if it's the Bellas or the Friends and stuff.
We have dinner at this time. We dress up. We do this. There's no phones at the time. I don't even know what the rule, but I was like, man, I want that heel John Cena on TV. That's awesome. And there was people saying, well, he's playing a part.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, there's cameras on you. Are you being a version of yourself? Are you completely making this up to make yourself laugh? So who's the real John Cena in that respect?
You think he was doing like an Andy Kaufman type thing, just playing a role? Yeah, because I can't see anybody that's exhausting to be like that 24/7. I think we should go back and watch the family dinner that has Johnny Ace in there and see the interaction, see if we see any clues.
Oh, I saw one brief clip with like Bryan Danielson and Johnny Ace like on sun lounges or something like that afterwards. It's like, man, if you only knew. I'm wondering if Bryan ever liked Johnny. Because I never watched that reality show, the Total Bellas or anything, because it's not geared towards me anyway. It wasn't meant to be like some sort of like Kardashian, keeping up with the Kardashians kind of in that mold.
Well, you know what's funny about that? I had a little taste of what reality TV, I had two tastes. I didn't even tell you about the other one. When I worked at DDP Yoga, they had Love and Hip Hop in Atlanta, where I did a segment of teaching one of the women yoga. And it was just, it was so bad. I walk into it, I'll tell you, about the Hogan Knows Best thing. They literally, for what would probably have been a 30-second to 1-minute interaction, they had to have us stand in place, shoot the close-up, shoot my confused look, shoot Hogan. They literally had us on different marks doing things. I'm just like, I haven't even had my 20-second match against Sabu tonight. This was a Saturday night's main event. I'm exhausted. Like, it is literally just standing there, get a shot of Hogan, get a shot of me. I think she said, she's looking at your butt. He said it twice. He had to do another take. It was very non-organic. But the other one was when I worked at DDP Yoga, they had Love and Hip Hop coming in. And by the way, this will clue you in to how much I didn't want to do it. The filming started at 8 p.m. Eastern time, 2 hours past my initial bedtime. The cats were already looking for me. It was just a nightmare. So I go into it, and basically I go in and I'm in a tank top and I'm trying to see what they want. I meet the actress, because that's what she is. She sounds perfectly normal until the cameras turn on. Then it's Love and Hip Hop turned up to 1,000. And we're doing different things, and they're setting up the cameras. And then they put the yoga mats together right at each other, and they go, okay, we want you guys on the mat facing each other, and we want you to both do an up dog. And I'm doing the up dog, but I'm about a foot away from the edge of the mat. And they're like, no, we need you closer, because they're trying to get our faces about this close together. Then they are insisting that I correct her down dog. This is where the butt's up in the air, head's down. And they go, we need you to correct the down dog. I go, okay, you need to, don't move your hands. You need to bring your feet in. You need to raise I even say your butt. I say you need to raise your hips up to the ceiling. And she's like, why? I don't know what to do. And they're like, you need to put your hands on her. And I'm like, there's no way I'm doing that. So I just kind of like took my finger and go, just take your hip and point it up to the ceiling. They wanted me to like full on, like, do the alligator on her, the stomach and her butt. And I'm like, no. Then they were trying to do a thing where she was twisting, and they were like, and I was like, okay, you just need to do this. And they're like, get closer to her face. Get close. It was terrible. And they ended up not using it. So going back to the beginning too, they told me to take my shirt off. They filmed me taking my shirt off. Then they told me to put my shirt back on to take it off again with another angle. This is so, when I watched that, I knew reality TV was completely fake, but I didn't realize that it was about 1,000 times faker than wrestling is. Mm-hmm. Wrestling's one take. This was exhausting once again. And she was perfect.
You can create any narrative in the edit as well. So
dude, it was probably going to be like, they would probably go to the confessional with her if it was the takes they wanted. Like, yeah, I think we're going to be, no, we're not. No, I'm very much in love with my girlfriend at the time. And to me, I was just like, there's no way I'm going to be on TV doing all this stuff with anybody. It was very uncomfortable. And they were getting mad at me. Like, well, just touch her. Just touch her. I'm like, no, not going to do it. Too close to my hometown.
Maybe too close to her hometown as well.
I did say too close to my hometown, and it was so great because nobody got it.
I sent you a video of John Cena being accosted by a fan. Now, he seems to be accosted by fans almost constantly at the moment, because there's like some guy tried to get his opinion on Donald Trump. Very polite, said, I'm very sorry I don't talk about politics, and then walked off. Other ones where he doesn't want to be filmed in public without consent, which is kind of his own thorny issue, I guess. Another one where he's been filming like Meta glasses, signing, and he asked the person to take them off or whatever. But this one's just bizarre. So tell us what happens.
Well, a guy just walked up to me, sitting in a corner somewhere. There's just two walls behind him. He's in the corner. The kid comes up and starts singing to him. And that's it. I can't even hear the words of what he's singing. John stands up, shakes his hand. I can't really make out what John's saying. But the thing that stands out more than anything, to know that this is done, there seems to be a meme type of trend going on with this John Cena, trying to amp him up or trying to get him to say something or whatever. The kid turns around with that smirk to say kind of got him? Did you kind of get that impression? Like, oh, I did it. And like, is it just for some kind of clout, for views, for clicks, it just seems like they're trying to get John Cena to, I guess, not incriminate himself, but look in a bad light, and they're trying to kind of provoke him to not be the John Cena of the Make-A-Wish John Cena. They're trying to get the other version of John Cena to come out. Is that what you got from it?
Yeah, pretty much. And I'm worried it's going to like continue. But then I see certain people online saying, there's some doofuses out there who's like, well, he owes us or whatnot, or I should be able to go up to him, or he should be nice to everybody or humor everybody. And I just kind of think that, like, when you're as famous as John Cena or The Rock or whoever else it might be, man, you really lose a piece of yourself. I think it's so hard for some people like that who are that famous to ever be normal ever again in any way in public, because you can't go shopping, you can't go to the cafe without somebody trying to bother you. And also constantly people trying to have that gotcha moment. You know what I mean? Like, they're the ones who went viral doing something stupid and you got them to react. And I just think, no wonder John Cena, some people have got, as you were saying, there's the good John Cena that you saw. Some people have had different experiences with him. He was already super famous by that point, and now he's even more famous. How does one keep themselves grounded in this situation?
Well, you keep yourself grounded usually with your own. These experiences, by the way, they happen to everybody on any level of being famous. Just John Cena, The Rock, and other people are beyond famous. They are legitimate household names outside wrestling too. So you're not only dealing with the wrestling fans, you're also dealing with the paparazzi, the TMZ type people trying to film you, say, coming out of LAX in the baggage claim. There's all those right there waiting for you to ask you certain questions. This is where the way I live life is easier, because I'm an introvert. And if I had the money, Cena, Batista, The Rock, or anywhere near that, we would be doing this literally like coast to coast AM from midnight in the desert. And I have a ton of land, or up in the mountains, right? Now we know why Edge lives in North Carolina in the mountains and away from any type of thing. Cena lives in Tampa. So right around there, but it's more of he's a fixture within the community there. He has his gym and all that stuff. But in certain other things, you're just going to be, I don't know where this is. It looks like it's in some type of building that a convention or an appearance would be in, and he's just kind of off to the side doing whatever. In conventions too, you'll have people, I remember Steve Williams, somebody was trying to open up the stall to ask him for an autograph. This is way back before everything really kind of opened up, where people, like you said, people say, well, he owes me, so there's access 24/7 to that. The only way to solve it is to live more of a reclusive life and have, your own kind of like compound in a way.
Yeah, I think like someone like, Hugh Laurie house.
Yeah.
Like, he couldn't walk the streets for years in the States because he'd get mobbed. Over here, he's more famous probably for a million different things he's done, from, Frying Laurie, Jeeves and Wooster, the night manager, everything. And he can just walk down the street and people say, hello, and just walk on. It's kind of weird, like, where you're from, the country that you're from, I guess as a celebrity, like, your locale is used to you and doesn't treat you like some megastar. Whereas if you go, make it big in the States, for example, in Hugh Laurie's case, it can be really jarring and be like a massive, massive issue for you, just to do things day by day, from dropping your kids off at school to go to the chemists, it's got to be nuts.
Let's be honest. Let's look at it from the reality of today in 2026 with the economy, the cost of living, inflation, everything like that. They are not living a hard life. For the problems of John Cena, The Rock, House, or anybody else that's famous, you have enough money to basically insulate yourself and make sure that you limit that type of stuff to where it's controlled. You can also hire security. You can have, I'm just giving these are real first world problems, and people that are multimillionaires.
I bet a lot of people would just like, man, I wish I'd just done some, something to get recognized, but, not to this level. I would trade it all in to be anonymous. I think a lot of people would do.
You can always have my career.
Hang on, you just talked about two people selling Wawas.
Yeah, from the YouTube channel. From YouTube. Not even they never brought up wrestling. He might, obviously knows that we talk about wrestling. All I'm saying is that the grass is always greener. And would you rather be anonymous and working 3 jobs and not able to make ends meet if you're working 3 jobs? Or would you rather be super wealthy, multimillionaire, Hollywood star? You can literally retire tomorrow and your children's children will have enough money to live on. Same thing with NFL players, baseball, basketball, where people get into trouble, and a lot of football players do this. Instead of having the party at your house, you go out to the bar, you go out to the club, and that's where trouble happens. I'm not saying with John. This is innocent enough. And John, The Rock, and other people like them are experts in public relations. I don't think you're ever going to get John Cena to break or snap. And I know people will say, challenge accepted, you're going to lose. There's nobody more political that I ever met outside of The Rock and John Cena. Nope, not going to do it. There's something in wrestling, when you're done? When you start to sell. When you start to show that they're getting to you. And trust me, from somebody that actually did sell for The Office, and it ended up costing me, these guys are the opposite end of that spectrum.
In John Cena's case, what does political mean when you were in WWE with him or around him? What does that mean specifically?
Well, on the positive note, John can be political and get the office. This doesn't come without hard work. So don't think that John is he worked his butt off. He worked and worked and worked hard. He took a chance with the rap gimmick where he was on the bubble at one point. He tells the story. So that was like a Hail Mary type thing that ended up working out. I think he did a couple of things and just went out there and did it too, which could have cost him his job. So let's not mix it like John just showed up like a Nepo hire and he instantly got favored. But politically, John Cena could say yes or no. The Rock could say yes or no. Undertaker could just nod his head or not nod his head. Yes, he did have clout. Sorry, you did have clout. So these are the people politically that could either get behind you to a certain extent, or in John Cena's case, there are stories out there where people are just, you're done.
Let's move on to some wrestling stuff now, or more wrestling stuff. Jeremy Hall asks, what's the craziest thing you've seen at a wrestling show anywhere, any time period?
Oh, Lord. I would have to say most of it's in ECW. The Terry Funk somehow lit a rag or towel onto a chair, lit it on fire, hit Cactus Jack, Mick Foley in the back, and then the towel went into the front row. And then a bunch of T-shirts and tickets later, everything was smoothed over.
Okay, I don't think we've talked about it all the way through. You've hinted at it in a couple of episodes, but I don't think too many people remember this. Did it even go to court?
I don't know. I do not know. From what I remember, no, it didn't. This was during the time, I believe, wasn't it around the same scope of time as the mass transit thing when we were trying to get the first pay-per-view?
No, about a year earlier. This was like 95.
But that was also factored in as we were trying to get pay-per-view, which wasn't like a 3-week thing. I think they were trying for months and months and months to try to get a pay-per-view provider and trying to get different TV stations. This didn't help, but the mass transit incident definitely made everybody forget about the fire incident, as it was called.
I think that I'm going to have to do more research on it. And when we talk about ECW in fact, because we're going to be talking about November to Remember quite soon, that was only a few weeks earlier. So I'll do more research on that, and then we can talk about it in greater depth then. Next question, Glenn Hills. Hi, Stevie, loved the show and loved the birthday cameo my brother got me from you. It was great. My question, as a massive wrestling fan and Star Trek fan, and I know you love Star Trek, who is your favourite captain and what is your favourite starship?
Oh, the captain one's easy. By the way, we're going to have B-roll. When my wife and I went to Neutral Zone Studios, it was a present to me. after I recovered from the spine infection. I know some people are sad about that. So, but we took pictures and video. There's a whole video up on her channel of the tour. And I definitely missed that. We would go back to that place in Kingsland, Georgia, but they moved it to Sandusky, Ohio. So I'm procrastinating the Starship answer. My favorite captain of all is Picard. And the reason why, maybe not so much season 1 of Star Trek Next Generation. Oh, we were like, this isn't going to make it. Season 2, season 3 is when the characters found their groove. They were really starting to resonate. We were emotionally invested in them. And season 3 to 7 was just incredible. Captain Picard's evolution from season 1 into season 3 and then on to 7 has just been awesome. The 2 best episodes of Star Trek that I've ever watched was back in the day. This is how long ago it was. Best of Both Worlds Part 1. And guess what, James? Ended on a cliffhanger with Riker saying fire as Picard became one of the Borg, called Locutus of Borg. And we had to wait months for Part 2 with the season opening of Best of Both Worlds Part 2. Picard's my favorite captain, and I would have to say Enterprise from Next Generation is my favorite one. I know we have different iterations of Enterprise after that. I would have to say the runner-up, surprisingly, is Captain Archer with Enterprise, which is a prequel to even the original Star Trek. It was when they were just starting to go into space, and Captain Archer in the original NX-01 from Star Trek Enterprise is a runner-up.
So this leads into the next question. Rocker Boy Rage. Which pro wrestlers are huge nerds for Star Trek, and have you played the new Star Trek Voyager game? So which wrestlers are big fans of Star Trek other than you?
I'd have to think about that because I don't know. Maybe the current crop, but in my era of wrestlers, nobody really readily admitted that they were fans of video games nor fans of Star Trek. So I don't know. But in this era, video games, Star Trek, nerd culture is huge. So I really can't answer that question. There's been nobody in the wrestling world that I can think of where I had a deep conversation about Star Trek. Fans, man, all the time. That was honestly, that was one of my favorite things about conventions. People would bring like, hey, I got this, the technical manual from the 70s. I got this, I got that. And they would show it to me and bring it to the convention because they knew I was a huge Star Trek fan. But the boys never really, maybe now, but anybody in my era, I can't even think of.
Well, that kind of leads to what I was going to ask next, which I'm not sure you're going to have too many answers for. But what wrestlers were just huge nerds for certain things? Like Blue Meanie, what would he have been into? Apart from the Beatles, of course.
Meanie's in just about everything, like action figures, video games, all that stuff. He's always been into that. But I would say, because D-Lo, maybe we can B-roll D-Lo's, man, say that fast 10 times. D-Lo talked about, because people thought, no, you didn't. You guys didn't do that video game thing where one person drove and 2 people were in the back, and you didn't solder all these AV cables to a portable DVD player. Oh, really? I'll show you. D-Lo confirms it in an Instagram interview with SoCal Val about that very thing.
You remember when video games first started getting the flip-up screens where you could travel the game with you and take it to hotels?
Yeah.
Well, we had rigged up a converter so you could plug it into the cigarette lighter, and we could put it in the back seat. And so you'd have one guy driving, you'd have 2 guys playing Madden, and loser, we'd pull over, loser had to get out, they would start driving, the driver would come around and then play, and winner got to stay on. And that's how like Stevie Richards and Kane and I would do 3-hour drives, is we would, do it playing Madden at 3:00 in the morning.
D-Lo was a huge gamer and nerd. Glenn, Kane, Charles Robinson, I hate to admit it, but he was that. And Charles Robinson's into horror. Believe it or not, when I walked into his townhome the first time, and he did this on purpose, he had life-size Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger right by the door, and purposely didn't turn the light on because I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. So Charles, Rosie, from Hurricane and Rosie, huge video game people. What's that?
Oh, are these all just pretty much gamers then?
Pretty much gamers, but I would assume that Charles has to be into action figures if he has these life-size type things, but not wrestling, mostly horror culture and all that stuff. Killer Cross is into a lot of like nerdy film production, editing, all that stuff. I know you can tell by his videos and everything. But outside of that, Danny Doring and I always played Madden. Danny Jackson and I like video games. Lots of friends. Big Sal, Big Sal, I keep telling him to start a YouTube channel and a podcast. Huge into like board games, like Dungeons and Dragons, other things. Plus he creates and draws all these monsters that he creates out of his head. And he refuses to monetize it with a YouTube channel and Patreon. So Big Sal, I'm telling you right now, very, very under. Everybody I'm still currently friends with right now, outside of Swinger, I don't think Swinger likes anything, as a matter of fact. He's a classic grizzled wrestler. The Johnny Swinger you saw on TNA is the actual Johnny Swinger.
I'm trying to think. Just Incredible was big into Star Wars, I think.
So's Doring, Crowbar, Roadkill, and Roadkill actually goes to all the wrestling conventions and has an eBay store of action figures and memorabilia. Yeah, he made it into a business. He's a really smart guy.
Who else? Obviously like Matt Cardona and stuff.
Brian Myers.
Because they're actually part of the new breed, are actually monetizing their own geekiness, essentially.
But you're talking about my era and before that. I'm not quite sure. I would think Glenn, D-Lo, Attitude Era guys like those two guys, but I can't think of too many other ones that really do enjoy playing video games. As a matter of fact, here's a little bit of a thing. You and I are so much in work mode. You're a gamer and you're a gamer. You guys should not play video games. We have not played one game together. And my wife now is the reverse. It's like the reverse Uno thing. She's like, start playing video games. Start doing something because you are going to have a heart attack if you just work 24/7.
If you're going to, merge the two together, I still say a gaming thing. Just on Twitch, just Fire Pro or do Warzone and then just stand like that for, for ages.
Right,
I still think you do great on Twitch because like Adam Cole does it, Saray does it. I don't think she's that much of a gamer, but she does it because, some women do very well on Twitch, whether they're any good or not. I'm trying to think who else. But yeah, there's quite a few people who've got... I'm sure Kenny Omega's got a Twitch. AJ Styles is trying to do a retro thing now.
Well, AJ always had a Twitch way back. He was one of the ones making tens of thousands of dollars a month when they cut it off. Remember, way back a few years ago. I want to get back to the Star Trek thing, just to people thinking back in the day. Now, I had Nitpicker's Guide to Star Trek. I actually threw that book out because it ruined the whole experience. They just nitpick everything. So in every category, there's always those people that say, oh, actually, one of those people. When I lived in Connecticut and I had my townhome, I had a big open living room, and I was going to convert that into the bridge of the Enterprise, and I almost was about to buy Captain Kirk's chair, but I liked Picard's chair better, or I was going to do a replica. And I also went to Star Trek experience at the Hilton in Vegas and was going to buy the Locutus statue to put in the living room, which really, like you said, unless I met somebody who was totally into Star Trek, I was going to be single for the rest of my life and probably be crazy cat man.
There was a follow-up here. It was, did you play the new Star Trek Voyager game?
Not yet, but I have plans to, and I actually have plans. And if I'm going to start the Twitch channel, Star Trek Online is a free-to-play game. I think there's a Resurgence game that's like a Telltale kind of game where you choose your own adventure. Dude, they can need it. A Final Unity is still, it's on DOS. That's how long ago it was. That is still the game. How they cannot make an immersive, like a Star Trek game that's along the lines of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, a true immersive game. I don't know why they can't make it.
Just to go on something that you were picking up earlier, with Johnny Swinger, I remember hearing probably on Steve Austin's podcast, it's quite a while ago, and Tommy Dreamer was talking about what he did. And Steve was like, do you not have any other hobbies? And it's like, no, wrestling. Any book I read, it's wrestling book. Any blah, 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 right, it's wrestling. I think about wrestling 24/7. It's like, man, that's got to be tedious.
It's not healthy. It is not healthy.
Well, it's not healthy, but it's like for everyone around you, like who are normal, just be like, dude, watch some Netflix or something that isn't wrestling. Anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And what happens is, and this is just going way back, and one of the times I was very worried about Tommy was after that Dark Side of the Ring. Because you put it all in there and your entire life is wrestling, and then it looks like everything's going to be taken away from you because of that Dark Side of the Ring interview. There was a lot of people in our circle that were calling and texting him because it literally looked like he was never going to work in the business again.
We shall move on. Stuart from Northamptonshire, England. Hello, Stevie and James. Love the show. As a fellow geek who is also into games and TV shows, I'm also into some old school anime. Are you also into anime, Stevie? And if so, what are your favorite shows and movies?
I'm going to let you go first.
I knew you were going to do that. No, I'm not. I watched Pokemon. Oh, actually, I'll tell you what. One of my best mates is going because the cinema quite near us is going to show Akira, and it's the same friend I went to Japan with both times, in fact. And he was constantly looking for like these Akira dolls. I don't even know what one would look like, but apparently you couldn't find any of these these ridiculously expensive figurines that seem to be like this Japanese speciality, and they've got shops everywhere selling them. Couldn't find an Akira thing, and no one had even heard of it apparently in Japan. Maybe it was Akira or something. I don't know how you pronounce it over there, but he couldn't find anyone to even understand what he was talking about, let alone find this figure. And apparently it's like a dead famous film.
I've heard of it. I've never seen it, but I've heard of that. Anytime we have Crunchyroll on our Apple TV, that's usually all the anime stuff, but I haven't watched in a long time. Growing up, Voltron, Transor Z, what was the other stuff I used to watch? Vampire D, Hunter. I watched that when I was in WWE the last time, where I was when you're flying and you're all over the place on the road, you'll get DVDs back then or whatever to try to watch whatever you can. But Voltron and Transor Z were the two. And I remember, actually, it's funny, a few days ago, I mentioned Transor Z, and my wife was like, what are you talking about? Because we're 11 years apart. And then I brought it up, and it was like, wow, I thought this was like the coolest thing ever. He used to shoot the missiles, or he used to shoot his fist and hit somebody, and it would come back. But my all-time favorite anime show that I literally would leave the pool, because we had our pool near us in Philadelphia, and I would run home every day at 2:30 to watch Star Blazers, which used to be Battleship Yamato and all these different things. Star Blazers is my favorite anime, and they even came out with a live-action Star Blazers movie before they dubbed it over in English. I was traveling, and I would watch it with the subtitles, and it was just such an amazing cartoon anime, and the live-action movie is amazing as well. And yes, I cried at the end of the movie. I actually cried 4 or 5 times at Project Hail Mary, which is one of the best movies we saw. You should see it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I've got no time for animation, man. Like Chris.
No, it's not animation.
I should watch. Was it what? Isn't it?
Project Hail Mary with Ryan Gosling.
Oh, never heard of it.
It just came out last week. It's an amazing movie.
Right. Oh, I was just on animation stuff like Chris is trying to get me to watch like Bob's Burgers and stuff like that, or BoJack Horseman, and it was fine when I was a kid and watching King of the Hill and whatnot, but like I just got to an age where I can't get into any animation whatsoever. But I don't even really watch that much TV. Speaking of which, I meant to ask you this before. I think they're finally bringing Firefly back. Are they not, for some kind of
animation?
An
animated version.
Is that an animated one? Is that going to be up your street?
I don't know. I watched Firefly when it was on TV, the live action one. I thought it was going to be the live action one, but it's anime. One thing you should watch, because I think you'll be a huge fan of it. There's a short documentary video that I saw on YouTube on Mike Judge, and how he had a background in physics. And he was basically not being some kind of Nostradamus. He was just looking at the calculation of everything and where the world was going. It's kind of fascinating.
That man is a damn genius, is Mike Judge. I love some Mike Judge. Pretty much everything he's ever done.
I'll find the video and send it to you. But Star Blazers, I was going to talk about something that came from anime and then over here became a cartoon. Star Blazers would be it. As a matter of fact, my wife, sometimes when I'm a little stressed, which is most times, or down or whatever, she will play the orchestra version and find it and start singing the lyrics for me. That's a soulmate.
When we feel down, we play the Wiggles. If you ever have a kid, you'll know. Everybody clap.
Oh,
everybody sing. La 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 la. Anyway, our daughter's
everybody
now doing
war
all the
zone.
actions.
Everybody of war zone.
That would be the war zone. Unless you're Ken Shamrock, and then you've got to do it like that.
He insisted.
Peter Urbanowski asks, what is your proudest moment in wrestling?
Oh, I have a lot of proud moments. I've been very fortunate and blessed to be able to have moments I am proud of. It's a great question. Usually I get the least proud or the most ashamed I've ever been. You know, the easy answer is Stevie Night Heat because of what that represented. We talked about it in great detail. But I have to actually talk about the last storyline I ever had, what I consider to be a full-time wrestling career, and that was against PJ Hawks. My proudest moment was those months that we were working. He was really green. He was new. And Lucas, the promoter for Wildcat Sports, said, I want you to help my kid out. I want you to teach him. I want you to be able to bring him along in the storyline and have him become a better worker. And he did become one. So my proudest moment was November 2nd, 2019. And basically that was the climax of the storyline. Everything storyline-wise played into the match and also played into the finish. Basically, for months, I was torturing Luke by beating his kid up. His kid was getting better, getting closer in each match. This match was a hardcore match, which PJ actually accepted, and even Luke said, do you really want to get into this with a guy that was in ECW for so many years? And he was definitely an underdog in that. He had just turned 21 years old that day, and the finish of the match was me trying to stab him with a beer bottle and him ending up hitting me in the back of the head for the finish. And that, the way the crowd reacted and the way the people had followed along during those weeks and months, because they did have a core of people that went to each and every show. So we were able to kind of carry them along for the ride. But seeing how much PJ improved, to see how the climax of that storyline played out. And I had a really bad back injury for years at this point. As a matter of fact, we have the match and we're going to start uploading some independent wrestling matches here to the YouTube channel. And my back was shot. And this was the night after Nunio tried to break my arm in Boston. So, yeah. I mean, I shouldn't have survived. Remember I told you about that?
On purpose?
Well, he claimed that he wasn't. I was like, you're being really stiff. No, I'm not. You're hurting me. No, I'm not. You're breaking my arm. I swear to God, my elbow's about to. No, it's not. You're a sissy. Yes, I am. But you're still trying to break my arm. So it was a miracle I even made it to this match.
Next question. Mr. Nibbles has asked, if you're in charge of WWE Creative and we're planning for next year's WrestleMania, which underused or new superstars are you building up to play prominent roles, and which established superstars are you looking to phase out or change to freshen things up? So maybe a list of 3 wrestlers you get behind strongly, maybe 5, for both divisions, for men and women, and then 3 or 5 that you would kind of think, well, you've had your day or you need a rest.
Oh, wow.
Who would you pick?
Man, that could be an entire episode. And we talked about this off camera and before the show, that these are, I tried to do something with NXT in the past with the smart board. It's so incredibly tough and you go down a rabbit hole and then it's just, it definitely gets a reaction and gets people to comment. I think the number one person I would say that I would strap that rocket to after WrestleMania and start building for the future, maybe the near future, maybe not 10 years because of his age, would be LA Knight. That would be my number one guy that could relive. And obviously, it's a mix between The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, but that's what I want. A character that can, I mean, he was just plugged in the commentary and did something with I Show Speed on Raw. There's different things you can plug him into. So
he nearly fell over again. He's having a run of nearly falling over. So yesterday, he nearly fell off the rope while he was posing for the crowd. Last week, he was jumping over the barricade and just fell over. It's like, he can't stop falling over at the moment. Charming.
But I think with LA Knight, this kind of frustration and these kinds of things have him, at least in his mind, overcompensating and overthinking things. And that's why the falling and other things are starting to happen. The Seth Rollins thing is like mystifying. You're in trouble for selling the guy's finish, which the spot is stupid. I agree with that. So LA Knight, taking out all the falls, I would definitely do that. But also, who else would I say? Dominic as a heel, as a true, chicken, heel. He would be the guy for the future to do that. I would even look at somebody like Finn Balor. Seems to have a fresh coat of paint on him, but I don't know how much you would get out of him. I think Punk and Roman, Drew. Oh, geez, let's go back. You talk about a guy you could put even ahead of LA Knight, Drew McIntyre. So if you're talking about three, Drew McIntyre, LA Knight, and Dominic Mysterio. Drew and LA Knight, maybe in a 3 to 5 year run of really pushing these guys, Dominic could be 5+, maybe even 10 down the line with that. I'm trying to think of who else you're talking about. Dude, Ludwig Kaiser is somebody that they haven't done enough with. Now he's allegedly under the mask. Nobody knows. But that's a guy.
It's been underwhelming, hasn't it? I mean, when they've done El Grande Americano versus El Grande Americano, and I thought this would be a big deal. I don't see people really reacting to it. But is it because Ludwig Kaiser somehow did it better than Chad Gable? And it was funny under Chad Gable, but Ludwig's he's got this weird effeminate thing that he does as well with it. But it's so entertaining, and he's even better in AAA.
You know what he is? Like Ludwig Kaiser is money. Even with him playing second fiddle or manager, announcing Gunther, he stood out. He really stood out. So with Ludwig Kaiser, that's a guy 5 to 10 years. You're talking about the 3 to 5 year category is the Drew, LA Knight. You don't know how long their bodies are going to hold up in that spot. But we definitely need, this theme is awesome. This question is awesome because they haven't built anybody up for the pipeline down the road. And you need to use Punk, Roman, Randy Orton, Cody, and these other people to start fostering the next 10 to 15 years of superstars. Because you got Obafemi, Brock's trying to do business with Obafemi. I think he's another guy that could be in there for the 3, 5, 10 year. They definitely have a lot of potential. WWE has an exciting future if they really take care and feed and don't have the 50-50 booking of, okay, you were pushed for 3 months. Now you got to put this guy over 3 months. You can even put Carmelo Hayes into a category of potential. So I think the confusing answer here is that the problem we have is there's so much talent. Who do you pick? That's a great problem to have.
Anyone in the women, because I'll advance a couple of names that kind of are getting more passed over. Natty Neidhart, because she's just had a fresh coat of paint, as you say, but she's been stuck with Maxine, and I think with her new kind of Ronda Rousey-esque character, it could go further. Asuka, but I think they're gearing up to have her and Io Sky face off at some point. Had one other.
Well, Chelsea Green.
Bailey's
Chelsea Green.
Chelsea Green.
No,
of course.
They have the same problem as the male talent. You just mentioned, I would even put, my goodness, even though she's very limited, Jay Cargill started off strong, cooled off, back. Lash Legend has a look. Nia Jax. You have a lot of talent with different, like even women that you would say, man, and a lot of the guys would have trouble. Like, these girls are pretty tough. You have a good mix of everybody with that. Like I said, with the males, the problem is trying to figure out who, in what stage, and how you would push them. Sol Ruka, she looked great at the Royal Rumble, but she got treaded water after that. What happened to her?
Which is back in NXT.
That's what I mean. You gave her.
And she might be turning heel soon, is how that's going. Which kind of seems ridiculous because she's got like there's so few wrestlers who've got like a genuine likability to them.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Take away all her impressive offense and make people hate her? Because they're still going to
just say you're a heel now. You have to boo her now, but like change nothing else. And then she'll point at the people and go, each and every one of you made me do this. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Stephanie
I'm not
later.
doing it for you. I'm doing it for me. And they go, yay, I love selfish people. They cheer even more. Roman Reigns became a babyface because he was so over as a heel. People loved him. So Bayley, getting back to Bayley, this is where I think WWE, like the theme of this on the male and especially the female side, you have to get out of the old toy, new toy mentality. You have to get into veterans are actually better than new talent. When you're a veteran like Natty, you literally are really much better. That you have to stop this. The 1, 2, 3 kid stuff doesn't work anymore. Everybody goes over in their first couple matches, and then it's all downhill after that. We need to reverse that, because if you reverse that blueprint, guess what you get? And I talk about it almost every episode. Now everybody potentially has the Randy Savage journey. And everybody always asks, what do you mean by that? Watch the clip. Watch Savage's rise. And then what happened when he rose up to a certain point, James? He stayed there. There was no 50-50 booking.
Okay, as far as people who are a bit overexposed or a bit tired and kind of need to be phased out or just not really part of the scene for the next year, both male and female.
I'd say Stephanie McMahon after one appearance.
Oh, my God.
We'll get to that. You know what? Everybody has a place. Now, what I would say is, if you're looking at CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, let's talk about those three right off the bat. And if Cody loses the title, now we get into a point where your schedule will now be limited, as Roman Reigns has been limited for a while. Now with that void, now we can put all our creative input and effort into these people that can look like they're taking over the spotlight, but then you come back and then we have an interesting, well, old toys versus new toys type thing. But Punk and Roman and Randy and Cody and other people have achieved legend status, have achieved above veteran status, and now we can have generations kind of like when they went from the new generation to the Attitude Era. There was that mix in there, but you created new stars that became the future legends in new eras moving forward.
I'll give a couple of names that I think Maclin needs to be given a rest and off to train. I've no interest.
Oh, you're talking about new talent as well, people that are too green.
I think in Maclin she definitely needs to learn more, get more comfortable, and have a new character. She's someone who needs a refresh, because the Kurt Angle thing is she can't pull it off. I'm sure of that.
Here's the trap with that though. Here's Natty Neidhart. Let's go back to her. She's the blueprint for get on TV, do some stuff for a few weeks or months, go off TV for a few months, come back, do whatever. If you take Maclin off right now, you're admitting defeat. You're admitting she's a failed experiment. You just have to be careful with how you bring her back if you do that. Do you see what I'm saying? You can't just say, she's back. Michael Cole, okay, well, everybody's back. I would say, if you see the El Grande Americano has kind of run its course, Otis is kind of in limbo, Maxine's kind of a failed experiment as Kurt Angle, put them all back together. It was over. Everybody has a chance. More importantly, and most importantly, she has a chance to learn once again while she's on TV.
Mm-hmm. Chad Gable. I don't know what you do with Chad Gable at this point, because he's been usurped by somebody who does his own character better, but also he can speak Spanish. He can speak several different languages, so he's more of a utility for the company to work with AAA as well as WWE as well than Chad is. But like, that used to be the charm of it, is that he knew no Spanish. It was obviously Chad Gable, but with Ludwig Kaiser doing it, it's obviously Ludwig Kaiser. But I don't know how he pulls it off better, but what do you do with Chad? That's an interesting one, because he's already been off for ages.
His most over gimmick in my mind, and it actually turned him babyface, was that whole valedictorian thing, and then the lie detector test with Kevin Owens, and just what he was doing. I think Chad Gable could be somebody that could be the guy that does the next interview segment and gets over with the heat doing that stuff. He doesn't need to wrestle. He actually gets cheered when he wrestles. But when he talks and he goes back into that, he actually is a great, great heel.
Controversial one for you. Cody.
Oh, does he need to be called off?
Yeah.
Well, if he loses
Something
the title, I said that's the call-off period. I would say if you're going to have Cody called off, or more specifically, if you're going to have Cody lose the title, it needs to be a continuation of what Randy did to him on SmackDown. He needs to be stretchered and injured and taken out. That's the only way to really get Randy over with that, maybe not so much of a dominating win, but he literally, he takes Cody out in that match.
The Wyatt Six. Because like the whole MFTs and Wyatt Six thing, I don't really think anyone's that bothered by it. And how do you sort of spice that up, or do you split them up entirely?
Dude, if they didn't push, I'm just thinking right now, if you're not going to push the Wyatt Six when they had the most underrated and popular haunted house at Horror Nights during Universal Studios, the Halloween Horror Nights, they didn't push them at all. They weren't even on TV until after Halloween. That just proves how out of touch the company is. And everybody went into Halloween Horror Nights going, no, the Wyatt Six, I'll give it a shot. And they're like, wow, that was actually the best one.
One more who I'm kind of curious as to why. Because I was thinking, with all the Samoans coming in, let me give you an example of Yokozuna. When did he debut? Like October of 92? When was he the number one contender? January of 93? Like, he needed 2 months to heat up on TV, and they just presented him as like the biggest threat to the championship, which he was, in 2 months. Why can't they do that with Jacob Fatu?
Well, because number one, they don't have vignettes. Number two, they don't have the Murder Hour squash matches, which they should bring back. And they've already, it's what I said, the blueprint is actually inverse. Let's put a title on them in the first 3 matches, and then let's go down from there. And Jacob just stands out. I don't know what you're talking about calling people off. The Wyatt Six is one thing. What about the other Samoans? What about how Solo was the enforcer? And Solo now, they do these vignettes. He cuts a great promo, and he's never been pushed less. What do you do there?
It's because, well, ever since he lost to Roman Reigns, and then he started his own version of the Bloodline, but then they were going to do that thing with Jacob Fatu, where Solo won the US title. And then I thought, well, it's obvious, Jacob's going to go through all of the members of the MFTs until he finally gets Solo at WrestleMania. Nope. Jacob had some dental surgery, and then when they came back, kind of just forgot about it. I was like, but in 2025, they forgot about so many different storylines and just kind of just brushed them to the side, which is such someone else as well, Jordan Grace. Where would you see her at this point? Well, she's someone to build around.
Well, she seems to be figured in, so that's something right there. But she's definitely somebody that she's injured right now. So obviously, this is one thing when people get injured. Why isn't she doing something Why isn't she still on TV? Why is she just doing backstage interviews or commentary or something on the public facing side of it to let you know she's not sitting at home show her like with Charlotte. They did that wrong to not show what she was showing on social media with the amount of training she did to come back. Oh, they made it look like she laid on a yacht, got a tan, and healed. Right? So why are they not doing Jordan Grace legitimately rehabbing? Hey, I used to be able to deadlift, say, 500 pounds. Man, my ankle's so messed up. I have to start from scratch with the PVC pipe. I got to start doing all this. Man, I can't even get 200 pounds. What do I got? Back to the drawing board, sat back. Why are they not having these UFC style, like when Punk trained for the pay-per-view? It was a 4-part series of him training for it. Why can't we get that all the time?
We shall move on. The Dave Mayberry 2-parter. What wrestler do you think has gotten the most out of the least talent? And what wrestler has gotten the least out of the most talent?
We talk about Brad Armstrong. He was such a great worker. It was like, now you put everybody over. Everybody wants to work with you, right? You make everybody look good. That's the kiss of death. But you get booked a lot. You just don't get the true, you don't get to realize your true potential. Brad's definitely always going to be the litmus test for that. You know who else? You had said Jimmy Valiant on Between Takes and everything. He's definitely one. Here's another name that comes up from the NWA. Somebody so green, so limited, and got such a push and was the most over heel, the biggest threat to everybody in the NWA. Nikita Koloff. I think he would be, because Ivan was with him. Ivan was legitimately, I think, trying to teach him. But literally, Nikita had nothing but the Russian sickle. And he was stiff. And he was green. Then you have guys, I wouldn't say he was necessarily super limited, but Magnum TA was beating people with the belly-to-belly in 5 seconds. And if you look at it, Magnum TA was so charismatic, but a lot of his stuff was basic, wasn't it? It was a lot of brawling, some wrestling, but that era, even a Dusty Rhodes, so charismatic, didn't need to use a lot of moves. But I would say the Jimmy Valiant thing, and even everybody in Paul Jones's army, very limited, but they knew what was expected of them.
On the converse then, who was just so talented? I know we said Brad Armstrong before. Who out there was just so good and just for whatever reason, they just never got anywhere. It just didn't, I don't know if it was just politics or they were just overlooked for one reason or another, but just who was just so good and just never got a fair shake? Or put it this way, ruined it for themselves. In the sense that they got the least out of the most, in that sense.
Oh, wow. I don't know. I would say we go back to the example that they had everything but got nothing. I got to go with Brad Armstrong. Through no fault outside of just making everybody look like $1 million. Somebody that was, my goodness, it's tough to say. You're somebody that like completely had everything handed to him, had every natural God-given talent and gift given to him, and they ruined it? Man, I'm not so sure. I mean, do you have any idea? Maybe I can be inspired with
Lars
that.
Sullivan, for example.
Oh, Lars Sullivan? Well, you know what else I think had every bit of the world right before them, every bit of money, every bit of opportunity they could still be cashing in to this day in 2026? Sonny. Somebody who just completely ruined everything for themselves. And even had a second run, had a Hall of Fame induction, and still take 2 was even worse than take 1.
Some people would have said like Lex Luger or someone like that, but I think for people who worked with him over the years, he said, look, no, he did everything basic, but he did the basics well. It's kind of all you can ask from somebody, I think.
He lived up to whatever potential, had multiple world titles, had runs in multiple companies. I'm talking about, and even though Sonny was the most downloaded diva at the time, I'm talking about the momentum and the income that you can make post Hall of Fame induction and just down like that. But also having that sense of entitlement at the same time. There's a lot of people out there that do that self-sabotage, but also at the same time think they're entitled to the same benefits and perks that they were given at the height of their career.
Next question, Todd Brantley. Is there anyone from your time in the wrestling business who you didn't like or hate that you made up with before or after you retired? I recently saw a video from Shane Douglas's YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, it's not, talking about how he made peace with Scott Hall before he passed away and was wondering if anything similar happened to you. Keep up the great work and also thank you for the advice.
You know, it's a really tough question. We're kind of in that fluid part because we do these shows every week. Clips come out every day, if not twice a day. And I don't really communicate with anybody. I would love, I'm putting that right now, I do not have the hatchet buried in any way, form, or fashion with Raven. That would be my number one person that I would love to be able to sit down with. But I feel like at this point, our personalities are so different and we're in different parts of our life. I don't know if we'll ever have that kind of closure. Then, of course, the documentary stuff, and everybody still asks me about that and everything. I don't think that's ever going to happen just because, like I said, our personalities don't allow for any kind of common ground right now. You got your Ric Flairs, your Hunters, your Shawn Michaels. And by the way, these are people I harbor no ill will towards. As a matter of fact, I always talk about how Raven made my career. I talk about the other three guys as people I would want to work every single day of the week. They're the safest, most reliable workers you could ever be in the ring with. But I can't think of anybody that I try to say I don't hate anybody. There's people I've really definitely avoided and didn't care for. But that's mostly because I have a passive attitude. I don't want to be confrontational with these people and it's not worth it. But I can't think of anybody that I've outwardly had an issue with or they've had an issue with me that we squashed it at this point. I'm just giving an honest answer.
Next one, WW4L asks, what's the most heat you've witnessed firsthand, not necessarily heat towards you? And I've added, let's say, between two wrestlers where it was obvious they hated each other backstage.
Oh, so you're talking about like between two wrestlers. I thought heat like in the crowd. I would say if you're talking about heat in a building, I would probably say the crucifixion angle had that quiet heat, that white heat type where it's like, what's going to happen here? It's dead quiet. And for the ECW arena to get dead quiet, that's a big deal. Now, if you're talking about between two wrestlers, we talked about New Jack and Dances with Dudley, Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, the locker room. I haven't witnessed too many fights. I've witnessed that one. I witnessed New Jack and Balls Mahoney at the Orlando Armory on an independent show. They went at it, and New Jack had that big, like, Wolverine claw afterwards, and I'm like, oh my God, it was scary. But I remember it was kind of like surreal. It was very surreal. New Jack is clubbing Balls Mahoney. He's hitting him hard to where it feels like or sounds like a chop to the chest, but he's hitting him in the like Baby Doll and Cornette with the hammer fist. And Balls Mahoney is calmly saying, Jack, what did I do? Jack, stop hitting me. And I'm like, that's a tough dude because New Jack is hitting him with everything he had. And Balls is like, please stop, Jack. Stop hitting me. What did I do? You're hurting me. I'm like, this is crazy. But nothing to the point of like fans attacking wrestlers outside or anything like that.
What did he do?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Is it possible that he did absolutely nothing wrong at all? That New Jack was having an episode?
It's a possibility, or it's something that Ball said in the shoot interview or something like that. That's usually back then the way things got very heated. It's based off of shoot interviews because they started to kind of make the rounds on YouTube or, buying tapes or DVDs. but I don't know. I just remember him doing it, and then New Jack walking out of the locker room, and then I walked out of the locker room, and then he walked and then came by and he goes, "Hey, what's up, Stevie?" And I go, I don't know. You tell me, Jack.
Was he bipolar or something, New Jack, do you think? Or?
Maybe. I mean, we're all crazy. So bipolar would be halfway normal in the locker room.
I'm trying to think of other examples.
Have you witnessed anything as a fan?
What, where you could just tell people hated each other?
No, there was real heat like that spilled out to where the fans saw it.
Man, I don't know. I mean, like through some like interviews, and then everybody goes on the internet to find out if it was real or not, or that kind of thing.
Here's the only.
There's going to be, yeah.
No, God, I'm sorry.
No, go on. No. I've got nothing.
Here's the only example that I saw firsthand, and it kind of was funny at the same time. But if you know Luke Hawx and you know Shane, when they were going at it before the extreme, I remember the fight. I talk about it. Here's the three-way argument that we had. Luke is yelling at Shane because Shane did something to Luke at a previous independent or talked about Luke, and Luke didn't appreciate it. And Luke wanted to beat Shane up, and Shane's in charge of Extreme Rising. And then they're trying to put me over in the tournament for the title. Then I'm arguing with Shane that Luke needs to go over. Then Luke's arguing with me saying, no, you need to go over. Then Shane's arguing with me. And then Shane put his foot down and said, "You're champion tonight." And I said, "No, I'm not." And he goes, and Luke's like, "F you, Stevie, you're winning tonight." I was like, this is the strangest three-way, 4 different subjects argument that I've ever been a part of. And then PJ's out there asking for money. Then we got everything going on. That was Extreme Reunion.
This is just incredible, not PJ Hawx.
No, not PJ Hawx, no.
Yeah. One example you gave previously was Triple H and CM Punk, where you could just tell there was tension between them when they interacted.
Yes, early on, you could tell Hunter did not like Punk, and Punk was new, so he had to act like he liked Hunter, and then he was friendly with Shawn and trying to get, I witnessed all this little stuff, and then when Punk, I'm sure, had some cachet with Vince, then he was like, dude, I can actually act like how I feel about you, and he certainly did.
Any other examples of that where, people have just got to work with each other, but you can just tell by the body language that they're doing it through gritted teeth, I guess?
Well, I think calling the matches, but then like I said on a previous episode, those are some of the best matches because you're so hyper-focused to, I don't know. It seems like people that don't get along backstage have some of the best chemistry in the ring. I can't really name it, but I think there's plenty of shoot interviews that say, man, this wasn't fun, that wasn't fun, but we did good business.
I've got to go to the New Jack and Balls Mahoney thing. Where was New Jack hitting Balls Mahoney? like on the back or something?
The back of the neck, the back of the head. He didn't really give him any uppercuts. He didn't hit him in the face, but he was laying into him pretty heavy to where I was about 10, 15 feet away. And it sounded like somebody hitting their fist on a podium. It was that heavy-handed. And I remember just Balls not shrieking don't hit me, don't hit me, New Jack, don't hit me. That's more like Johnny Ace imitating Balls. But it was like, Jack, don't hit me. Jack, please stop hitting me. Jack, you're hurting me. Jack, please stop.
And then
he stopped.
I'm trying to think who else like New Jack. I remember Francine telling me once that, New Jack just got a hold of a chainsaw once in ECW and was just running around with it. Before the fans were in and stuff. It was like, ooh.
There was one time he had the Wolverine claw. I think one time he had a machete. I was just like, where do you get these things from? I don't even know. Where do you get these not so wonderful toys like Jack Nicholson said in Batman? I don't know.
We will move on. I think there's only one more left. So, Bennett, is there anything that would make you go back to WWE or AEW? And Ian asks, if given the opportunity, would you work as a producer in WWE or AEW?
Well, let's start with Bennett. I think the more accurate question is, and we're near April Fool's, so should we jokingly announce that I'm going back to both companies full time? With open arms, they're welcoming me. April Fool's, everybody. I think the more accurate question is, why in the world would they ever want me there? So, no, I wouldn't go back to WWE. I would never work for AEW. I would never be given an opportunity to work as a producer or anything else. I think the landscape of the wrestling industry would not allow for real conversation, for real talk about how to improve it. Everybody's stuck in a bubble. They're making more money than ever.
Okay, is there anything that either of those companies could do to tempt you? Let's say, not money, no object, but as far as, something well paid, full time, and something that you get creatively, excited about. What could they do to tempt you to come over?
Well, number one, it would have to be with you and the team. Whatever we're doing, we all go. We all go and get paid for our misery together. Stop. I would love to be, and I don't know, have the personality, but I believe we have a show that's fun in wrestling. We don't curse, we don't do anything, but we have fun doing this. We want to do video games, we want to do more lighthearted stuff. If we could have somewhat of a thing, be like the McAfee show where he does his own thing, but he's kind of incorporated with ESPN, and it'll never happen. But if we could have that kind of talking head show where we could have fun, goof off, and still be affiliated, where we can have creative control, these things will never happen. The only other thing I would love to do, and never got a chance to do it as a talent, if I could be someone like Titus O'Neil, do the charity stuff, go to the children's hospitals, have a very positive impact in the community, I would definitely partner with a company to do that. As long as I was left to do it on my own, which means it'll never happen. I mean, do you see any? There's no environment where I could see myself ever coexisting within the wrestling bubble and being happy.
The thing is that people ask about, would you ever do training? Would you ever want to open a school? Would you ever want to work in wrestling again full-time for yourself or anything like that?
Well, we talked about last week where I was expecting the follow-up question, and I knew you had it on the tip of your tongue when I said I would work for Wildcat Sports and MCW in a heartbeat. And I could see you. I was like, why is he not asking the question? It requires you leaving your house, which I would have said, oh, never mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would get a lot more fulfillment in working with independent wrestlers. We're working with a training scenario, and I would never open up a wrestling school. I would never have my own promotion. I would never do any of that stuff. It's incredibly stressful. It takes up a lot of time, and most people don't run it like a business. Think about that. And you just described the one thing is we're pariahs. We're basically blacklisted in those two companies. We need to have a pipeline to the companies to get students, right? If you're connected to my wrestling school, you're never getting a shot. You're never doing it.
Okay, that is enough questions for today. Thank you very much, everybody, for sending them in, and we'll have more questions in a few weeks' time whenever we get time to do another fan question thing, because I think in 3 weeks we're probably going to end up doing the WrestleMania reviews, in fact. So I don't know about the scheduling and everything, but we're getting there. Don't worry. We'll get more fan questions in sooner rather than later. Right. We've got to go to the news, and this is something you like to talk about, Stevie. Weirdly, I sent it to you and then completely forgot about it. 2K26 have apparently given in. And something interesting here is that if you put in, as you told me to, WWE 2K26 lawsuit, on incognito mode, the first video that pops up is you.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Which
Comes up
video?
as-
Yeah, which video is it? The full review, or is it talking
No, the
about?
scam one.
Oh,
So there you go. There has been a patch update for the game. So it says,
I was going to
starting
say
today.
2K's experts at patches. If you remember My Perfect Game, they love releasing those patches.
Oh, they certainly do. That would be, starting today, all current and future players will be granted enough RXP for Ringside Pass Season 1 to unlock 20 tiers. Please allow 24 hours for this RXP to be added to your Ringside Pass Season 1 progress after logging in. I think it could take up to 24 hours. And all players who have installed linked to 2K account and played the game prior to April 14, 2026, blah, 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 will receive enough RXP for Ringside Pass Season 2 to unlock 20 tiers when Season 2 launches. And it continues on like this. So essentially, tell us, Stevie, what all of that means and how it's a little victory for all us YouTubers and whatnot who complained about this incessantly.
Well, I think based on RGT85's review and talking about he bought the Monday Night War edition for $150, he had those characters, but he needed to grind out hours and hours and hours and get to a specific level to unlock people that are actually on the cover of the Monday Night War game, right? The NWO, Stone Cold Steve Austin, different versions of Shawn Michaels, correct? These different things. So basically what this is doing is when you do this skips you ahead to unlock those characters, correct?
Yeah.
That's what the patch does.
So you don't have to grind for ages in the exact same matches. But it's kind of funny that some people have already done that and sank. They probably would have done it anyway. But, already sank a load of time into the game to get the characters that they paid $150 for that were on the box cover.
So what is this is like admitting that, okay, we were kind of playing it fast and loose, even with people that paid $150. By the way, the base game is still $70, $74.19. If you see our lower third, what I said, pay $74.19 to unlock this lower third during our video game review. But yeah, it looks like they patched it because I did not see one outside of the occasional short, which kind of looked, how should I say, like an endorsement of sorts, that there was a connection or communication with WWE and or 2K to make said short about the exciting things you can do in 2K26. Outside of those very minimal videos, every single one has been unanimously like hate towards this game. Maybe not the gameplay, the mechanics, but the actual structure that WWE TKO and 2K26 put in to make this game, as you would say, almost downright unenjoyable. Did I miss anything?
No, I think it's just like, even from last year, these whole, just putting everything behind a paywall, or behind a paywall with the guise of it's not mandatory to have to buy these. You can play this game for 40 hours to try and give you the illusion.
Voluntary.
Yeah, the illusion of free, but it's actually just manufactured, locked stuff to encourage you greatly to pay double or whatever it was. How much was it on top? Because I've heard everything from $80 to $800 on top to unlock all this.
I don't know. I heard $77.41 for a particular one, $40 to unlock a moveset. This is insane. By the way, I picked up Fire Pro and just played it for a few minutes. I literally discovered 3 things. I think I said it last week that I didn't know after all the years of playing different iterations of Fire Pro. I was like, oh my God, that's cool. I didn't get 1 second of that feeling from WWE.
What do you think is going to happen next year then? Do you think they're just going to try the same thing again? Because best I understand, the basketball games are way more predatory, like more than WWE is. The 2K WWE games are at this point. Although WWE 2K was trying to catch up, but the basketball games are absolutely outrageous for the the microtransactions and just trying to bleed people dry. It's like with FIFA and those like those lock boxes, those random loot boxes, that I think they actually had to put legislation in over here to stop essentially a workaround for underage gambling.
Well, I got some better news on top of that because now Sony is raising all the prices starting on April 2nd for the PS5, PS5 Pro, and the PlayStation Portal. We live in a time, not only with the greed of microtransactions, which you're right, NBA 2K did that. I mean, 2K had the blueprint, so this is nothing new anywhere in the 2K universe, or generally EA Sports does it. But dude, we're living in a time where technology, as it gets older, becomes more expensive. I don't know. Maybe CERN turned on the collider and we're a different timeline once again, where old technology is new.
Here's what 2K said about this whole thing. We appreciate the passion, time, and feedback you continue to share with us. We hope, I'm doing the Stephanie McMahon voice, we hope you enjoy these changes and take the opportunity to catch up on the home stretch to the grandest stage of them all, wrote the developers.
Wrote the developers
AI.
via ChatGPT, via AI. Good Lord.
Is no one capable of being real anymore?
You want me to interpret this?
Yeah, it's like we got caught with our pants down. We tried to get away with something really egregious, and people like us, gaming YouTubers, all caused a stink. All were getting views in the hundreds of thousands, and pretty much all agreeing with us.
Here it is. Here's my interpretation. Quote, F you for pointing out the fact we were trying to be greedy. We hate you all, and you need to shut up now. We hear you. Stop making videos. Here you go. Take the damn game, play it, skip ahead, and enjoy the show.
Did you think there was ever actually going to be a lawsuit over this?
I don't know. It seemed like a lot of people were kind of trying to do the exploratory type thing to see, have we ever had a class action lawsuit in this type? I mean, it would be, I would say this, it would definitely set a precedent that probably would create legislation based on it. That's my guess.
I'm just Googling, has there ever been... major gaming companies are currently facing numerous class action lawsuits. I'm looking Valve, a UK class action, and US lawsuits allege that Valve abuses its market power with a 30% commission, leading to inflated game prices. Sony PlayStation Store monopoly, a £1.97 billion lawsuit in the UK accuses Sony of prohibiting third-party sellers of digital codes, forcing users to pay higher prices directly via the PlayStation Store. Ubisoft, The Crew shutdown. Following the shutdown of The Crew, a lawsuit prompted by the Stop Killing Games campaign, which I've heard about as well. You know, like I was saying with that 2K golf thing, they managed to kill that off. Alleges consumers were not properly informed that they were licensing rather than owning the game. Well, if you don't, what's the phrase? I'm going to blow it again. If you don't own the game.
If buying isn't owning, then stealing isn't piracy. Did I get it right?
Yeah, more or less, yeah. I think Roblox, child safety and virtual gambling. Lawsuits allege Roblox fails to protect minors from sexual predators and that game platforms allow illegal gambling on virtual prizes. Do you remember years ago, Stevie, if you ever got Pokemon Red and Blue, the original version when you went into Celadon City where the gambling deal was, you know, with the little arcade machines, you could actually play those machines like it was a slot machine or pachinko or whatever it was. Every version of the game afterwards and every follow-up game, you can't play any game where it's even remotely like gambling. At least in Europe, they actually changed it over here. Not sure they did in Japan or the States or whatever. But yeah, like we've taken gambling, or the EU, the European Union, has taken gambling in games sometimes seriously, and then sometimes with the FIFA loot boxes and stuff like that, they've taken years to take action.
Well, over here in the States, the NFL is about to have replacement refs that people say, brought to you by FanDuel. Can't get it out. I was going to say, too, I mean, this is just... There's nothing enjoyable anymore. Have you noticed that? Like, it's all about, like I said earlier, we're working all the time. We would love to play video games, but we see all this stuff going on. It's like, man, I just want to enjoy the game. Even if I pay $70 for a fourth of the game, let me enjoy something. So, and I've gone to like I talked about with 2K26, there was one physical copy in the entire city here. They are doing away with that. And I really want to start. There's a guy, Retro Jake's Games, that puts stuff up on YouTube. I want to start buying stuff online from him. He has nothing but physical, used games, used systems, all that stuff. So there's a plug for him. Sponsor the show, please.
A wrestler got stabbed a few days ago, Stevie. You saw the video of the aftermath.
Was it over microtransactions?
It was over a transaction being too expensive, amazingly. Originally.
Can we react to the video? I have not seen it.
No, we can't, because it's too violent, so we can't put it on YouTube. You will have you not seen this?
I don't want to watch someone get stabbed.
No. It's not the stabbing. It's the beating that happens after the stabbing, and it's not that bad. It's just too bad to put on YouTube. So have you not seen it?
I have not seen it.
Can you watch it live?
Yeah.
But like, we'll just watch your reaction to it.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so describe the scene if you could.
All right, I have not logged in to social media in 2 years.
Oh, Lord.
This will be a first.
A few moments later.
Oh my God, the guy with the glasses looks like that Psycho Stu guy.
Oh, yeah.
The guy in the fatigues and the tank top and the tattoos. Ooh, is that guy's back bleeding? Did he get stabbed?
No, he's not the guy who got stabbed. So the guy who got stabbed was the guy in the mask.
Yeah, the guy
who doesn't actually throw any punches.
With the Friday the 13th mask.
Yeah, he's cruel. He was a former MLW champion. He was a part of Contra.
He's kind of off camera. You only see got stabbed in his arm?
Nope.
I just see blood.
They just done a death match. So half the wrestlers there have still got dry blood on them.
I'm watching it again. Yay. The guy who's throwing the left-handed punches has glasses on, and he kind of looked like Psycho Stu for a second. What's going on here? Please explain this to me.
Okay, then. So this is kind of off the top of my head.
Oh, that guy got shoved down the stairs.
Oh, dude, he got the Sparta kick treatment. That's the best bit.
He did. I just saw it with the guy with the fatigue pants, the camo pants. Got a lot of purple hair around this. Hey, Hardy Boy fans?
Could be. Aren't we all?
Okay, I watched 2 or 3 times.
Very good. So how this all came about. So the video shows the exact aftermath, basically, where everybody jumps the dude. So this guy apparently gone up to Cruel, right? Apparently Cruel is like nearly 7 foot. He's huge, mask on, doing the kind of Silent Kane gimmick thing. This random guy, who apparently has been a problem at other shows in the area. This was based in Illinois, so this company was Ruthless Pro Wrestling Omega.
So this guy could potentially be somebody that's going to try to provoke John Cena too.
Yeah, but with a knife, apparently. So this dude, who may have been loaded beforehand, went up to Cruel's table before the event started, looked at his merchandise and said, "This is all too expensive. I'm not paying that." And it was like really aggressive. I was like, okay. During the show, or during the main event, which is Cruel versus a guy called Schlack, and they were doing some hardcore thing, I guess. The guy stood up, the same guy who confronted Cruel beforehand, and wouldn't get out of his way while Cruel was doing his entrance walk around the ringside, okay? And after like over a minute, he was like just trying to be more confrontational, etc. And then Cruel eventually, I think, pie-faced him and got rid of him because he was obviously spoiling for a fight. There was another instance where he may have got knocked off his chair. I can't remember off the top of my head, but essentially he was just constantly getting in the way. Someone wrote to me on my channel and said that this guy was drinking outrageous amounts, and to make things worse, the venue was kept serving him, even though it was obvious that they shouldn't have been serving him. So this dude was drunk out of his mind. After the match concluded, Cruel was sat back at his gimmick table again, still probably covered in blood and everything like that, like everyone else was. And this dude went up to him, who was absolutely steaming drunk, and said, "Let's go, I'm going to fight you," whatever he said, you know, the usual confrontational stuff, and basically lunged at him, like whether Cruel was standing up or not, basically tried to do a spear tackle kind of thing on him, and then at the same time took a knife and stabbed him in the lower right quadrant of his abdomen.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What? I mean, this is an independent wrestling show, but at the same time, either the building and or the wrestling promotion, probably when he's drinking too much before the show, he looks like he's going to be a problem. Keep an eye on this guy. But the second he's trying to create an obstacle for this guy to get to the ring on his entrance, he's got to go. He's got to go. At that point, he's literally anyone that's kind of jumped over the barricade and tried to get into the ring. That's the same scope of interfering with the show. So why didn't anybody do that?
Well, apparently the security was quite lax. I'm just going to go to the full-on... All right, so there was a standoff, the breaking point near the end of the show. The annoying drunk friend bumped into the guy who'd been hanging out with them earlier. This is from a fella called James Kilner, who said he was there. At that point, the guy they were with had had enough. He told them to stop being idiots and threatened to kick their asses himself. The drunken friend and his girlfriend bolted immediately after the big speech. I left shortly after, so I didn't see the stabbing, but seeing cruel pullouts of upcoming shows make me believe the reports are 100% legit. Says that his opinion was that there was venue negligence as well as security negligence and wasn't getting rid of this guy. But now you see that video after the fact. He basically tried to kill somebody with a knife, with a deadly weapon. I bet you don't feel as sorry for him now as you did the first time you saw it.
The fan? I mean, yeah. You're saying somebody tried to he tried to stab one of the boys, or he did stab him. Yeah, I mean, the problem is two parts of a problem right here. The number one problem is you got to get rid of him somewhere between the time at the table, keep an eye on him. And even if you didn't keep an eye on him, the fact that he's actually preventing the talent from getting to the ring for a minute, right? He's standing in the aisleway, correct?
It might have been round ringside. Either way, it doesn't matter.
But he looks like he's becoming more and more aggressive as the show goes on, more and more drunk, and obviously there is security, but they're lax. Then... I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say, what happened after the video. Did anybody detain this guy to be arrested for assault and battery, attempted murder, or anything?
Well, that's the thing. You watch the video, and after about 40 seconds of a beating, which we've got to get to the fight or the beating itself, because that's kind of funny in its own way, they just let him go. That's the craziest thing. Because the last 20 seconds is him just being walked, like some fans have basically grabbed him, and one of them was like Mickey Knuckles, who's a hardcore deathmatch wrestler, and she was kind to split up the wrestlers from the fan because maybe she thought, well, discretion's the better part of valor here because this fan could end up getting killed and then everybody's going to get shut down and everything could get 10 times, 100 times worse. So this fan ended up just being allowed out after like 40 seconds or so.
Well, there's the other thing too, and I know it's an independent wrestling show, but people are bringing knives. People could bring guns. People could do anything at these shows. I talk about the Charmed thing with wrestling, and I've been in buildings and things that look pretty sketchy with fans that look pretty riled up. Not just ECW, but the independents. And to not have something much worse, to not have something like this happen more often or worse, I mean, there's got to be steps that are taken for a more professional, all-around experience for the fan, for the wrestlers. The promotion can't get sued. I mean, we have a lot of stuff to kind of figure out after this, this incident that happened. I mean, this guy could still get arrested, but this guy, dude, are we a part right now where a guy literally stabbed the wrestler, but could still sue the wrestlers, sue the promotion, even though he was the one that stabbed the wrestler? This is where we live, right? In 2026.
So it's very interesting why they didn't call the police, because my theory was, how do you kind of like get the police round and then explain to them that half the wrestlers are covered in blood and there's like broken glass and all sorts of weapons around. So, but that guy really did stab me. When, you've got like half a dozen wrestlers covered in blood and, looks like a triage unit.
And that could be the outside of video evidence of literally a guy getting stabbed. you could literally say it happened during the match, which means the fan could still sue for everybody assaulting him.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre. Speaking of the video itself and the fight, I also thought it was funny that some people genuinely seem to be doing working punches, like especially when there's like 5 of them dogpiled on this
Talking
guy.
about the left-handed guy throwing forearms to the back, right?
Yeah, which is just kind of bananas. And one thing, right, apparently this guy was so drunk that his body didn't realize that he was knocked out. He didn't even get knocked down, amazingly. And there's some big dudes hitting him. I was like, this guy's got a heck of a chin. Some of these wrestlers aren't as tough as they look because they can't knock this dude down who's, had like 30 drinks in him or something.
He was resilient. I'll say this. He was every bit as resilient as that video that I sent you yesterday about the drunkest guy in the world who literally wouldn't give up. And it was played to Ric Flair's 2001 theme too.
It was. That was purely coincidental. But the thing is, that guy in the video, he fell over. He was on the floor for minutes on end. This dude didn't go down once. I don't know how he didn't go down. Even when he was Sparta kicked down the stairs, he was kind of caught by the wrestlers.
Dude, he lasted longer than Punk did in his UFC career, and he had multiple opponents fighting him.
Yeah.
This guy.
Kind of amazing. But it's also, I think someone else wrote on the comments as well, it's like, the more people trying to kick you in, kind of the better it is for you, because people just end up getting in their own way. And then they end up just hitting each other.
You shall strike me down, but I should come back more powerful than ever. That's what it seemed like. The harder they hit him, the more he was just like, maybe had a little bit more than just alcohol. Who knows, allegedly.
Who knows? The other thing was that I think someone suggested that he was like a Facebook or Discord member or whatever of some rival hardcore wrestling group, and they've got like this rivalry between.
And it's like talking about this.
Yeah, it's like when the stakes are so low.
So I was about to say, who's going to fight to be the biggest fish in the smallest pond?
Yeah, the stakes are so low that people are actually getting excited about it.
I love that saying, the stakes are so low. That's
Do you know where I got that from? Did you ever watch King of Kong, the documentary?
Yes.
That was a review of that film where it said the rivalries are so vicious because the stakes are so low. And it kind of feels like, when the lower the stakes are, the more angry people get about stuff.
Can I ask you a question? Give me an honest answer.
Go on.
Because a few people have commented on certain clips. Have we become the wrestling version of like Mystery Science Theater 3000?
I wish we could be, because then we could play the entire thing.
Well, outside of that, it seems like we're just looking at the stuff and just everything just seems like a clown world.
Yeah. But the thing is like wrestling is the gift that keeps on giving. And you just never know what the story's going to be tomorrow. It's going to be something that you say, I never thought wrestling could do this. And
like
then it
does. For instance, a fan actually stabs a wrestler. All the wrestlers start hitting the fan with work punches, but them even shooting with the Spartan kick. The guy doesn't go down the well. He doesn't even go down 2 steps. He's like, is that all you got? And then we could quite possibly, the fan who legitimately stabbed the wrestler could sue the wrestler that he stabbed for assaulting him. Okay.
I look forward greatly to seeing where this one goes. I really am.
This is more interesting than the WrestleMania push.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. Stephanie McMahon has returned to WWE. Right, what was all that about? Just from beginning to end, tell us what was going on. Because like when she came out, there was like some unfamiliar theme music, and then she got like a lukewarm reception, and then she started talking to Cody like she was on Cody's level. What is going on there?
Well, I just took a random picture during that promo where very, very baffling. You said baffling as an adjective to describe this. I think, is there a weird thing within the company now? Because Hunter was involved in something as well. Do you think they were saying, ticket sales aren't what we want. We really want to put a shot in the arm to the WrestleMania push. Bring Hunter and Stephanie back to TV. Somebody had to do this. And it just felt like such a self-serving, which is a good word. But her promo, dude, I can't. I just can't, how can I say it? There's a part of me that just can't interpret, I can't compute that this is basically Vince McMahon's daughter. This is a McMahon. This is somebody that was born into the business, that surrounded herself in the business for her entire life. And she sucks. She's terrible.
She confronted Cody
Thanks
Rhodes.
for leaving all the heat on me, buddy.
Oh, no, okay, I agree. Yeah, she's awful. She's always been awful, and that's that. Anyway.
Her promos...
apart from when she was with Triple H in the first year.
Her promos are an absolute example right there on your television screen or your device. The Emperor has no clothes. Nobody has ever told her she is terrible.
So she confronts Cody immediately. She does get a lukewarm reception, but keep in mind, this is the opening segment of Raw. So you know for more.
Going into WrestleMania.
Going into WrestleMania. It's also in Madison Square Garden, which it's not a coincidence. That's what I'm saying, is that, well, it's Madison Square Garden. We have to have a McMahon. We can't have Vince. We can't have Linda. Apparently, we can't have Shane for whatever reason, which I'm still not quite sure why. So let's get Stephanie, who doesn't work for the company. Let's not forget. Anyway, Stephanie condescends to Cody immediately that we're both multi-generational talents. But in Steph's case, she didn't obviously require any talent to get there, whereas everybody else did. But she puts it like she did have talent. But here's what gets me. She says, we both got to where we were and we're multi-generational talent. But then she says, but you, Cody, you took the golden path. And I don't know what that means, other than, does that mean you took the path of being a wrestler and winning championships? So if that's the way, and then she makes it sound, with a tone of voice, that was the lesser of the two ways of getting famous and succeeding in the business.
Very baffling. I mean, if she's trying to cut a promo as a heel, saying we're both multi-generational talents, it fell. I mean, the whole promo felt very flat. It did feel very condescending. And of course, they think at the end, if we skip to the end, the fact that Cody grabbed her by the arm is like, ooh, Cody put his hands on her. He got over, but then he said, thank you. So the whole scope of this, the theme of the promo is, you have no idea what type of Randy Orton you're dealing with going into WrestleMania, correct?
Oh, I'm gonna go through every single bit of this because this was shocking. Anyway, once again, with the whole Stephanie thing, oh, you took the golden path, took the golden... I don't even know what that means other than, And keep in mind, I think with most wrestlers, look, George Goulas was pushed despite being incompetent at everything. But he's kind of the... not that many people really push their kids to the absolute exclusion of other people. At some point, you have to have like a utilitarian kind of outlook on things, even if you're booking your own son or daughter. You know what I mean? Well, if they're really not drawing, then we can't use them. And yes, there's a lot of promoters whose kids came up in the business, whatever. But quite a lot of them were good as well. And if they weren't good, for the most part, they wouldn't really succeed anywhere else.
Well, because you wouldn't draw a house based off of that in the territory, you'd kill it. I'm surprised Stephanie never said, Daddy said sell. Because that would have turned it around for me right there.
Yeah. Whereas Cody, if he was terrible, people wouldn't have booked him. And he would have just been like so many other wrestlers' kids, who tried to use the name and it didn't work. Anyway.
Can we back up for a second? Just with this whole thing. I'm not taking anything away from Stephanie and what Vince had her and Shane do by working in every single department and setting up the ring, working in marketing, working in the warehouse. They worked everywhere. So it's not like, but she got to a certain point when he made her head of creative and said, without saying I can't fire my own daughter. So Daddy said sell. Daddy said my ideas are great. But let's not forget Cody, the famous story that Dusty pawned a Rolex to have Cody go to acting school, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, also, my favorite, she talks about Dusty before we get into that. The hand to the face that ended Dusty Rhodes' career in WWE.
It's funny, I actually just wrote about that as well. I was going to bring that up. So, with Steph says that Cody has no chance against this version of Randy Orton, and she uses the word diabolical, but not in the social media sense, and that Cody Rhodes is not Dusty Rhodes, and everyone goes, ooh. Which I'm also not quite sure why, because it's like quite obvious, they're quite different. Cody then says it's not a student-teacher dynamic with he and Randy, and that Cody had to make sure that Randy was breathing because he'd taken too many downers or whatever back in the day. Which is kind of a really weird thing to mention. It's like, did you pick up on that? But basically just like throwing Randy Orton's business about being a drug addict.
That was a little bit like really inside baseball. I would have probably said when Randy had anger issues, when he was truly diabolical. Because by the way, between 2007 2009, that was the whole Randy Orton when he was at his worst, in and out of the ring, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So this is worse than that?
Apparently so. Cody then says Stephanie isn't her father either, and the crowd goes crazy. And I'm like, is that an insult? I mean, never did many of the... I don't know. I didn't quite know. But anyway, not quite sure what he was implying either. But then Stephanie then slaps Cody. Then says to Cody, she's out there to...
How dare you insult me by saying I don't have 19 NDAs? How dare you do that?
Says that Cody, she's out there to help him and give him guidance, and kind of sort of hinting that she's there to be his mentor.
There's a thought there. Either we're going to get the Authority with Randy Orton, or we're going to do a double turn at WrestleMania, and Cody's going to go with the Authority.
Yeah.
You sound excited.
Yeah, if Cody doesn't think like Randy, he'll never be WWE champion at WrestleMania again.
Dude, are we getting the WrestleMania 17 Austin and Vince shaking hands?
Randy only just turned. That's the thing. I don't even think well, the fact is that everyone's cheering him. They were dual chanting Randy and Cody before anyone even opened their mouths. Like this heel turn. People don't want to boo Randy.
They don't want to boo Randy, but then again, is this planting a seed with the devil on the shoulder with Cody that he needs to be a heel, and we could have Cody retain the title with Stephanie and Hunter helping him. By the way, you're talking about, well, Randy just turned heel. Well, last year somebody just turned heel and they turned right back to a babyface. John Cena.
Yeah, I guess he did do that. And then Stephanie then slams the microphone into Cody's chest, and then Cody grabs her. And this is when the fans actually go, ooh, something's going to happen. And then Cody Rhodes says 2 words, thank you. And the fans boo mightily. I was like, this did nothing for Cody. What was that about? So basically he takes a slap, gets emasculated by Stephanie McMahon and says, thank you, may I have some more? But like everything else was just like very unspecific.
It's just, I'm reading between the lines and these little supposed teases or Easter eggs or maybe a swerve. It looks like they're at least looking out and testing everything to see if they want to turn Cody heel and put him with Stephanie and Hunter. Or they're never going to do it, and now we waste our... Well, I'm just saying, Jericho got over with the dog thing and everything when he had the title. That was the most over Jericho ever was, according to them.
Oh, yeah, well, they were on last. Don't forget.
Now they were after Hogan and Rock.
Yeah.
That every chance of succeeding. They really... But that would say the title match goes on last. I don't think this is going to happen, but based off the promo, why would Cody say thank you? Why would he? And all the fans are saying, suck it, suck it, suck it. 2 words for you.
Okay.
He put Stephanie over in that, and he came out of it looking less than in a way. Don't you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. It was, for me, a disaster of a segment. It's like Stephanie McMahon is like turbo Michelle McCool. They are trying to make her seem so important. And it's like, hey, look, for me as a wrestling fan watching for years, we had to endure the Stephanie years. No one's clamoring for it back.
Nobody in gorilla position saying that. They're saying they want it back, boss. This is Dixie in the makeup chair saying you don't even need makeup, Dixie. You're just Stephanie, you don't need makeup and fake eyelashes and all this stuff. What are you doing out here with makeup? You're wasting precious makeup because you're so beautiful. And guess what? You should beat Cody for the WWE title and defend it against Randy Orton at WrestleMania.
You, Dixie? That'd be good.
Dixie and Stephanie should fight for the WWE title at WrestleMania 42.
That works for me. Okay, so is this just... Triple H turns up later as well to actually get between Obafemi and Brock Lesnar, which is interesting because, once again, it's Madison Square Garden. Triple H has not done this kind of thing in quite a while, and obviously he can't take any kind of physicality because he's got a very serious heart condition. Until, obviously your theory that he's going to come back soon.
Oh, yeah, Saudi Arabia. I'm still standing by my prediction. Geez, they give me enough money, I'll be like, just give me some Toradol on my back and a private jet, I'll be good.
Does this emasculate Adam Pearce in any way? Or his, character's on-screen authority? Because apparently Obafemi's happy to shove him.
There's two different things, yeah. I agree with that. To a certain extent, Madison Square Garden is the McMahon's house. So they want to appear there. That's definitely the legacy of Madison Square Garden. But part two to that, I stick to the point that they feel like that they are needed to put a push to make people buy WrestleMania one way or the other. 2 weeks out? Well, 1 week. This is the go home, right?
No, 2.5 weeks. 2.5 weeks.
I think we're going to see Hunter and Stephanie next week too. Or SmackDown and next week and leading up to it.
Someone somewhere said,
you're so excited. So excited.
Dude, there's only one thing from this WrestleMania that I'm actually curious to see, and that's Brock and Obafemi. Because it's new, and we really don't know what's going to happen, and they've built it up really, really well.
In a short amount of time.
Yeah, but everything's been a short amount of time. The Randy Cody thing's bizarre. The CM Punk Roman Reigns thing is kind of just there. The Jade Cargill Rhea Ripley thing, I didn't think did very well on SmackDown. Like, all the major builds. And they keep repeating the exact same things every week, like on different shows. It's like, it's weird. It's not doing it for me this year. I think it's been a really lackluster build, and the only one that's been good is Brock and Obafemi because it's really basic, and they just inch forward every single week with it, but it always stays interesting.
There's a big part of this too, and it'll never happen with the metrics today. If they would go back to a 1 hour or even 90-minute show, and it would move, and this would make the 3 hour plus pay-per-views even more special, Saturday night's main event as well, even though the time might be similar. They're never going to go back because their metrics that they make money off of is watch time now, correct?
Yeah.
For the TV shows, the ads, all that stuff, it's watch time. So when I joke about 4 hour Raw, 4 hour SmackDown, we may get that.
Right, then, we're going to close down this show with a what went wrong, of course. And to be honest, there have been a lot of going wrong this last week, from injuries to potential injuries, but mostly real injuries. A couple of them aren't that serious, thankfully. But we're going to, on the main show, I think we're going to do a YouTube exclusive at some point for some of the others. Mike Santana, TNA, they were at a pay-per-view this past weekend, and he super kicked Steve Maclin's head off like a minute into their match. And keep in mind, this was the main event. And from then on, there's some good things to take away from it. There's some, obviously, terrible things as well. But they managed to sort of cover things up quite well to leave the people, not feeling too screwed over, I guess, on the spur at the moment. But yeah, over to you, Stevie. As one of the innovators, as the innovator of the Stevie kick, what went wrong?
All right, thank you very much, James. I want to point out from the very beginning here, This is technically a what went wrong segment, but there's more what went right with this after the super kick than wrong. The way the TNA, medical staff, the referee, everybody, production handled this is the exact opposite, the inverse of the OVW ref situation. And a lot of times where the referee and the staff are just like what you say, James, the bystander effect. There was no bystander effect. Everybody really took a hands-on approach to make sure the safety of Steve Maclin was paramount among everything else. So generally, as far as this spot, Santana runs into the ropes, takes a forearm. You've seen this spot done a million times. This guy gets hit against the ropes right here. Boom. Then Maclin is going to run off the ropes and get caught with something. I would say the most dangerous move to get hit with is the kick, because if you're not standing there or turning into it or, even running into it is even worse. But this is technically running into the kick as you bounce off the rope. So here he goes. He runs. And the crowd really reacted. I think this crowd right here saw him get jaw jacked. So let's take it slow-mo. And it looks like a work, right, James? It looks like he just got kind of caught under the chin. But man, this part here is the scary part, isn't it? He's out, but still holding the ropes. Just stiff. This is very much a concussive stance or body position because he's still trying to get up, but that body stiffening up, it's literally the concussion part right here, being out. So from this point, and I have to give, also, I didn't say the name in the beginning, Santana, for just not saying, I got to get my stuff in. We got to keep going. We got to get to the finish. Santana is kind of at first setting up, and the referee here is communicating. I think this referee used to be a worker, correct?
I don't know. She's called Alice Lane, by the way, but I don't know if she is or not.
But if she's not, she has a great amount of awareness. If she's been a worker, this is why I talk about workers that become referees are very, very important. So Santana's right here, right there. He goes to pick him up. He lets him get up. I think the referee definitely communicated right here that he's out. Santana walks away, and as he comes back, that's awesome. This right here, Santana's kind of half-heartedly going. He's going to forearm or hit him. The referee steps in right here. And look at this. Throws up the X. Perfect. Throws up the X right there. As we see, boom. But if we go forward, right here, I actually have a previous clip, I think. Here we go. Everybody getting into the ring. This guy slides in, and he's basically Santana. If there was somebody, Santana's really come a long way since LAX, been world champion multiple times, right? The second run right now of being world champion, and really has shown his experience, and especially here, knowing that, hey, I just can't go on. Something's wrong here. He's a little confused, but at the same time, he wants to still continue, but he's showing as a babyface. He's a babyface, correct? Showing that compassion first. And they've had a pretty heated angle leading up to this. I think Maclin even assaulted one of the commentators, correct? So, and here's Scott Fishman. Is that who that is?
Carlos Silva. He's a TNA president.
He looks like Scott Fishman from Spike.
Different dude.
Different dude.
Yeah.
But you have everybody aware of the injury and stopping the match. How many times have we not seen this particular involvement with an injury in pro wrestling lately?
I think the OVW thing, I mean, do you think if the OVW situation hadn't have happened that the TNA response would have been different? Or do you think it's, I don't know, has that informed everybody's opinion on what protocols should be and how not to do it, and it's fresh in everybody's mind?
I think the OVW thing showed everybody one flaw in this system right here. The person, remember I said it's not the third person in the match? The referee is the first person in the match. So the referee got hurt. So now we need standard operating. That's why this is also, let's not get it twisted. These are two different situations. A wrestler being hurt allows the first person to throw the X up. Dare I say it from now on, if the referee really gets injured, wrestlers need to throw the X up, stop the match. Because without a wrestler, yeah, you really can't get a finish. Or Santana could just cover Maclin. But if the referee's hurt, there's no end to the match unless somebody outside of the match or a wrestler throws up the X. But this is definitely right here, and even here with Santana, a what went right to react to the what went wrong.
Can we go back to the kick itself? I mean, is it just a timing issue? Did Santana not give Maclin enough time to set up for the kick? Is anyone at fault, or is it one of those things?
No, this is one of those things. Because Maclin ran the ropes, held the ropes, turned his head. You see what I mean? It was just, this is why it's so dangerous to measure. But the Luchasaurus on Adam Copeland, what about that in the opening of the match? He ran off the ropes and got jacked hard with the kick. Now I'm going to show you something right here of my match with Roddy Strong, where he ran off the ropes this direction and took the Stevie kick. Boom. But what I do you see what I did? I still was high with it, but I was trying to aim for his chest.
Yeah,
it was still there.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it slides up, really, than you're actually going for his chin.
I touched his chest first. Right there. But, dude, there was everything in me arguing with Roddy. He called this spot, not me. I was like, dude, I don't feel comfortable. He's like, oh, just jaw jack me with it. Just, I can take it and I'll just take a bump off. And I'm like, I don't want to. I go, if anything, I'm going to hit you in the chest. No, right under the chin, man. Right under the chin. But I lied to him. Because I still caught him. But see how, dude, that could still knock him out every bit as much as Steve Maclin, right? If he runs into it. But you know what? You see my body? I didn't. Also, when I came up, I didn't, like, maybe Santana went with a stiff upper super kick, you know? You can see how loose my leg is, and then I immediately go to the mat here.
Yeah, you look like you're going to the side. I mean? You're not going into him. You're going to the side of him, pretty much.
I don't have my body behind me. If any, with Santana, with this, here's where we get fancy. As we slow-mo both of them, it looks like Santana kind of stuffs him with it, as opposed to me. Oh, I'm getting super fancy now. You see that comparison right there. Yeah, but I think Santana keeps his body in line with the leverage to kick. I literally moved my body away from that, so I might have tagged him a little bit, but I'm not kicking up towards the ceiling. He's kicking all the way kind of past Maclin. Boom. So, I mean, it's one of those things. Nobody's really at fault, but man, the TNA step up after the fact. Definitely more of a what went right in that situation.
Chris Nowinski, as you'll know, and I'm sure a lot of other people know, former wrestler now, does a lot of work with concussions and protocols and that kind of thing in sports. Said, shout out to This Is TNA referee Alice Lane for recognizing Steve Maclin had a concussion, stopping his main event match against Mike Santana at TNA Sacrifice. Saved them both from a potential catastrophic injury had they continued. Now, he was knocked out briefly with Steve Maclin, but he went to the hospital, they went through all the scans and everything. Turns out he was not concussed, thankfully. He was knocked out, but they're saying that he didn't suffer a concussion, so he should be back sooner rather than later.
That's very weird, because I thought any movement where the brain hits any part of the skull, or if you become unconscious, that you do get a concussion.
No,
there's actually more concussions if you just get your bell rung a little bit, or you kind of get jacked a little bit, but that's very weird.
Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, you could be knocked out at the point of the jaw, and it's nothing to do. I mean, it's your head, but you're not, rattling your brain anywhere near as much as you otherwise might be if it was one to the temple or back of the head or whatever it might be.
Well, I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining. Thank God. Here's the thing. You did a shout out, Chris, to the referee. I think Santana deserves even a bigger shout out for not having blinders on and just getting his stuff in. Because he very easily could have pushed the referee out of the way and said, no, we're finishing. But he didn't. The production crew could have said, take it home, do a move, and pin him. Am I wrong?
No.
The fact they stopped it cold is awesome. You know what it also does? Since he's okay, I can say this, right? It brings back the danger and unpredictability in professional wrestling to a degree. That a match can end at any time. At any time.
Right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We had to shut down the show a bit quickly there because Stevie had to do something else very briefly. So I'm going to say thank you to everybody for joining us every single week on YouTube and all the podcast platforms. A new episode out every single Thursday, a new clip out every single day on YouTube, of course. And once again, as I said before, the podcast audio versions are on all podcast platforms as well, should you wish to join us there as well. Because Stevie's not here, I'm going to thank all the Patreon supporters, and because I've never done this before, I don't actually know how to thank the Patreon supporters, other than I'm sure just all the credits and all the people who support us every single week are showing up on the sides of me now, hopefully, Chris, if that's how it goes, which is kind of weird that I never watch my own shows to see what actually happens, but hey, everyone else sorts it out for me, so that's perfect. So once again, thank you so much. We'll catch you again next Thursday.